Chapter 651. When the Hellhound Cannon was released, orders kept coming in. Not only did the Thunder Horse Army Factory easily win large domestic orders, but even foreign merchants heard the news and came to visit and place orders. The Hellhound Cannon had yet to be widely publicized, and it had yet to undergo the test of the battlefield, but had already become famous. This was just the beginning. In the future, when more cannon products were released, the cannon products of the Thunder Horse Army Factory would undoubtedly become a hot commodity all over the world. Of course, the cannons of the Thunder Horse Army Factory could not all be as amazing as the Hellhound Cannon. Later on, most of the cannons were conventional cannons. They only sought to improve their performance. The Hellhound Cannon was undoubtedly one of the main products of the Thunder Horse Army Factory. If foreign merchants wanted to buy this product, they would have to buy the conventional products of the Thunder Horse Army Factory first. These things were naturally handled by the marketing department of the Thunder Horse Army Factory, so there was no need for Charlotte to worry about them. On the third day after the Hellhound Cannon was fired, Charlotte suddenly received a call. This call was unexpected because it was from Zhang Huilan, Zhang Huilan's mother. Mr. Xia, that. On the phone, Zhang Huilan's voice carried an awkward tone. I'm very presumptuous to call you. Charlotte said calmly. Auntie Zhang, if you have something to say, just say it. A woman who fell into the eyes of money. A woman who treated her daughter as a commodity. Even now, he did not have a good impression of Peaceful's mother. Back then, Zhang Huilan had looked down on Charlotte and insisted on matchmaking Peaceful and Ren Wenxiang. At that time, Ren Wenxiang was a returee from abroad. He had a decent job and a good income, while Charlotte was just a poor kid who opened a small workshop on the street. But now, Charlotte was already a billionaire and the father of rifles in the country. Zhang Huilan was actually so regretful that she wanted to die. Zhang Huilan was silent for a moment before saying, It's like this, Mr. Xia. Today, I went to the hospital to see Peaceful. She woke up for a while and even said a few words to me. Charlotte's heart skipped a beat. She woke up for a while? What did she say? She said that the sky is not the sky. The time is not the time. Well, she also said something about a traveler. Auntie Zhang, can you explain it clearly? Charlotte was very anxious. Zhang Huilan said, I don't remember clearly. Go and see her. Maybe she will tell you. The doctor said that her condition had improved. During this period of time, she should let some people she was familiar with meet her and chat with her. This was good for her recovery, especially the person she likes. I know that girl has always liked you. Okay, I'll go see her right away. Charlotte agreed readily. The reason he was in such a hurry was not just because Peaceful was his best friend. There were other reasons. Peaceful was one of the first people to come into contact with the ancient alloy. That group of people had either died or gone crazy. She was the only one who had woken up. Why was that? After Peaceful woke up, she said something. Although Zhang Huilan's description was not very clear, it touched his sensitive nerves. The sky was not the sky, the time was not the time, and the traveler. Was this something a person who had just woken up from a state of madness would say? This was not normal. He had to see Peaceful and figure out what had happened. An hour later, Charlotte drove to a closed sanatorium. The people who were recuperating in this sanatorium were not ordinary people. The guards at the door were real soldiers with real guns. Ordinary people could not enter. However, he had sufficient authority. After showing the ID issued to him by Bureau 101, he easily entered the sanatorium. With a doctor named Wei Guani leading the way, Charlotte came to a room. Mr. Xia, Professor Ning's condition is not stable, Wei Guani said. Later, when you talk to her, don't provoke her. If she is too emotional, you have to end the conversation. Charlotte nodded. Okay, I understand, doctor. Thank you. Go do what you need to do. Wei Guani turned around to leave, but he only took one step before turning back. Oh, right, Mr. Xia. I almost forgot something. What is it? Professor Ning drew some pictures this morning, Wei Guani said. It's weird. Come to my office later. I'll give it to you. Okay. I'll go to your office to look at those pictures later. Charlotte pushed open the door to the room and walked in. The room was very spacious. There was a sofa, a TV, and a computer to surf the internet. The environment was clean and comfortable. When Charlotte entered the door, Peaceful was standing in front of the window, looking at the distant sky. She was very quiet, so quiet that she was like a statue. The noise caused by Charlotte opening the door did not attract her attention. Even when Charlotte walked behind her, she did not look back at him. Charlotte wanted to call out to her, but he swallowed the words that were on the tip of his tongue. He could not bear to disturb her, even if she was just standing there in a daze. In his memory, Peaceful was a voluptuous woman. Her body was not the best, but it was good. But now she looked thin. This caused a trace of sadness to surface in his heart. The two of them just stood there. One was looking at the distant sky, and the other was quietly looking at the other's back. They were reminiscing about the past. After who knew how many minutes, Peaceful looked away from the distant sky. She turned around and saw Charlotte. Then, she walked past him without saying a word. There wasn't a trace of surprise or excitement on her face. In her eyes, Xiaolei was just a vase, a remote control board, or something. Was this a normal situation? Peaceful walked in front of the computer and moved the mouse. Charlotte noticed that the computer was still dark. He had not woken up. Peaceful sat on the computer chair. Her hands quickly typed on the keyboard. Charlotte could not hold it in anymore. He walked over and tried to ask, "Peaceful, do you remember me?" Peaceful raised her head to look at Charlotte. "I remember." Xiaolei heaved a sigh of relief. "Then you still remember?" Peaceful interrupted him. "Take off your pants and lie on the bed." Charlotte was shocked. "Last time, I checked your uterus. The baby's condition is better. This time, I want to check it again. The baby's health is the most important. Be good. Take off your pants and lie on the bed. I will check it for you." Peaceful stood up and walked toward Charlotte. Her face was as serious as an old doctor's. Charlotte stood there and did not move. He had just let out a small sigh of relief. Now, it was like a pump had filled a few forklift tires with air. "Be good," Peaceful said. "Take off your pants and let me check." Charlotte grabbed her hand. "Peaceful, it's me. I am Charlotte. Do you remember me? I am here to see you." Peaceful was suddenly shocked. Her face was frozen. It seemed to work. Charlotte said, "Think about it. I am Charlotte. Charlotte, we met at Haiju. You helped me earn my first pot of gold. We went to Afghanistan. The White Hun tribe. Do you remember a baby-faced chief called Shalami?" Peaceful moved away from Charlotte's hand. She held Charlotte's face and seriously said, "Don't be so excited. This is prenatal anxiety. You have to calm down. I will give you some medicine. Remember to take it." Charlotte was speechless. "Be good. Take off your pants." Peaceful reached out her hand to untie Charlotte's belt. Charlotte grabbed her hand again. He suddenly remembered something. He said, "The sky is not the sky. Time is not time. People traveling." Serenity was stunned for a moment, and then she shook her head vigorously. It worked? Charlotte's heart jumped. He repeated, "The sky is not the sky. Time is not time. People traveling." Peaceful slowly raised her head and looked at Charlotte. The moment Xiaolei saw the look in her eyes, he was stunned. Her eyes were like the deep night sky. It was impossible to see the bottom. Or it was a black hole that could swallow people's souls. At this time, Peaceful used a weird voice to say, "The sky is not the sky. There is no distance. Time is not time. 1,000 years pass in the blink of an eye." The traveler came from a distant time and space. The sky was not an obstacle for him, and time could not erase his body. He is looking for a starting point, but he is lost in a dark world. He is about to forget himself. The only thing that can... After saying that, Peaceful closed her mouth. The only thing that can... Charlotte was in a hurry. The only thing that can... It was still that sentence. It was like a closing sentence. "Tell me, what is the only thing that can?" Charlotte panicked even more. He had a feeling that Peaceful was talking about the mysterious ancient alloy and the secret of AE. The only thing that can... Peaceful could not continue. Charlotte's emotions were out of control. He grabbed Peaceful's shoulder and shook it. Tell me, what is the only thing that can?" Peaceful suddenly closed her eyes. She fell into Charlotte's arms. Peaceful? Hello? What's wrong with you?" Charlotte was panicking. He hugged Peaceful and called her name, but Peaceful did not respond. Her condition wasn't improving at all. Instead, she had inexplicably entered another state of insanity. Xiaolei did not believe in something as unscientific as being possessed by a ghost. but Peaceful's behavior made it seem like she was possessed by a ghost. Before Peaceful's doctor, Wei Guani, came over, Charlotte went to check on Peaceful. He quickly came to a conclusion. Peaceful had just fainted, and there was nothing wrong with her. He heaved a sigh of relief. A few minutes later, Charlotte left the room and went to Wei Guani's office. Wei Guani gave him a few paintings that Peaceful had drawn. Looking at the paintings, Charlotte froze. The first one was the Ming Dynasty compass. The second one was a bronze book. The third one was an ancient alloy box that was missing a corner. The fourth one was a complete ancient alloy box. The last one was a naked man, but the weird thing was that he did not have a face. The weirdest thing was that on the bottom right corner of the last painting, Peaceful had written a name. It was Charlotte. Wei Guani said, "I saw your name. I think she wants to give these paintings to you. Mr. Xia, you can take these paintings away." Charlotte came back to himself. He nodded. "Mr. Xia, because of Professor Ning's condition, she can't accept visits. You go back first. Leave me your number. I'll call you when her condition gets better," Wei Guani said. Charlotte thought for a moment and said, "Dr. Wei, how about this? I'll leave you my number. Record what she says and what she does. Call me regularly or make a document of these things and send it to my email." Wei Guani did not agree. He frowned. Charlotte said, "Of course, I won't let you do this work for nothing. I'll hire you as Peaceful's personal doctor. I'll pay you 20,000 a month. What do you think?" "Mr. Xia, haha." Wei Guani smiled. "Okay." Charlotte's eyes fell on the last painting. His name was written on it, but there was no face. Looking at the figure, it was not him at all. What on earth was going on? Chapter 652. When Charlotte left the sanatorium, Peaceful had not woken up yet. She was sleeping peacefully. He wanted to say goodbye to her, but he did not have the heart to wake her up. Returning to the chairman's office in the Thunder Horse Army factory, Charlotte took out the 5 paintings. As he looked at them, he thought about what Peaceful had said. Emptiness is not the sky. There is no distance. Time is not time. 1,000 years pass in the blink of an eye. A traveler comes from a distant time and space. The sky is not his obstacle, and time cannot erase his body. He is looking for a starting point, but he is lost in a dark world. He is about to forget himself. The only thing that can. Those words were like a curse. Why would Peaceful say something like that? She had come into contact with ancient alloys and bronze books, but she had never come into contact with a box made of ancient alloys. Before he had put the box together, she had gone crazy. In fact, the amount of ancient alloys he had come into contact with was very limited. Even he had only put the box together after his trip to Japan. So, if she had not seen the ancient alloy box, how could she have drawn the ancient alloy box? Charlotte's eyes suddenly moved to the 4th painting that had a complete ancient alloy box. His eyes locked onto the piece of ancient alloy he had never seen before. Every piece of ancient alloy had special patterns and patterns. The patterns and patterns on every piece of ancient alloy were different. It could be said that every piece of ancient alloy was different and unique. The piece that Peaceful had drawn did not copy any ancient alloy. It had its own special patterns and patterns. It was unique. What is going on? Has she seen a complete ancient alloy box before? Or has someone described it to her? Charlotte's head was filled with questions, but he did not have an answer. Footsteps came from outside the door. Charlotte raised his head and looked. He then put away the 5 paintings. Fan Fan quickly appeared at the door of the office. She reached out and knocked on the door. Charlotte casually said, "Come in." Fan Fan pushed the door open and walked in. She was wearing a black elastic cotton sleeveless top. Her breasts were firm and full, and she wasn't wearing a bra. The mysterious granules under the fabric were clearly visible. She wore a short black skirt that was only long enough to cover her perky buttocks. If she bent down, at least a third of her buttocks would be revealed. Under the short skirt, her jade-like legs were snow white, and her buttocks were like ripe peaches. She was indescribably sweet and alluring, mature and sexy. In the past, Fan Fan had taken the innocent route of a high intellectual woman. Now, Fan Fan had taken the mature and sexy route of an imperial woman. For Charlotte, he didn't know what was good or bad about such a change. He only knew that the current Fan would have those kinds of messy thoughts when she looked at him. "Why are you here?" Charlotte asked casually. "Can't I come here for no reason?" Fan rolled her eyes coquettishly. "You're not gentle to me when you're in bed. Can't you be gentle to me when you're not in bed?" Charlotte, "All right, I'll stop joking with you. I'm here to talk business with you." "What business?" "The Hellhound Cannon has been successful. The work on your hand is almost done. When do we start the X-Secret Gold Project?" Fan stared at Charlotte. Her eyes seemed to be able to see through a person's heart. Charlotte smiled bitterly. "Didn't I say it very clearly? This kind of thing can't be rushed. You have to give me more time." "All right, if you want it, I'll give it to you." "Charlotte, I'm not here for this business. There's another thing. Can't you say it all at once?" "I've already researched the antidote." Fan opened her handbag and took out a glass container. It was filled with a transparent and viscous liquid. For some reason, no matter how Charlotte looked at it, he felt that the liquid looked like lubricant. It was because of this characteristic that Charlotte was able to determine that the antidote Fan had researched was wrong with just one look. Not for any other reason, but because he had already developed the correct antidote. Not only was it the correct antidote, but he had also developed an antidote that could suppress the antidote. Fan handed the glass container to Charlotte and waved it in front of him. There was a hint of provocation in her voice. "How about it? Give it a try. That, I still have something to do." "Can you?" Fan suddenly frowned. "You promised me. Are you going to go back on your word?" Charlotte looked at the watch on his wrist and sighed. "I really don't know what to do with you." "All right, I'll give you 15 minutes. "Half an hour," Fan said. "I need to collect some samples for the antidote test." "Okay, half an hour it is. Come to the lounge with me." Charlotte turned and walked to the lounge. Fan smiled and followed Charlotte into the lounge. For half an hour, the lounge was not quiet at all. From time to time, there was a strange sound. Fortunately, no one came to the office to ask Charlotte to deal with anything during this time. Otherwise, his reputation would be ruined here. Half an hour later, Fan walked out of the lounge. She carefully held a new glass container while tidying up her clothes in a panic. She complained, "Really, if only you didn't blow up my lab. I could do the detoxification experiment here. Now I have to go back to the Academy of Sciences. It's so troublesome." "Can't you?" "No." Charlotte's attitude was still very firm. "I won't have your lab here. This is what we agreed on. I can allow you to collect my samples. This is already good enough. You have to be content." Fan glared at Charlotte. "You were so happy just now. Now you're turning your back on me? In your eyes, am I so worthless?" Charlotte shrugged. "You took the initiative to find me." "I didn't take the initiative to find you. If you feel wronged, we can terminate this relationship at any time." "You?" Fan had an aggrieved look on her face, and a faint layer of mist appeared in her eyes. No woman would be able to accept such words coming out of his mouth after doing that kind of thing. If it was the Xiaolei of the past, he definitely wouldn't say such hurtful words. However, after being repeatedly deceived by women and suffering emotional blows, he had long changed. Not to say that he had become another person, but at least in terms of feelings for women, he was no longer the gentle and considerate style he used to be. Instead, he had the style of playboy. Looking at Fan, who was so aggrieved that she wanted to cry, Charlotte didn't feel guilty at all. Because as long as he remembered that she had tricked him in a handing over the Thunder Horse military factory, and that she was a member of the Zen Bureau lurking around him, no matter how big the guilt was, it would disappear in an instant. "Forget it. I don't want to argue with you." Fan calmed down in the blink of an eye. "I have to rush back to do the experiment. I will inform you as soon as I have the results." Charlotte smiled. "Take care. I won't see you out." "There will be results?" "There will never be a result. Fan would probably need to do a lot of experiments to develop the right antidote. This would all take time. And even if she developed the right antidote, Charlotte had already prepared the anti-antidote to deal with her. In short, he wouldn't let her be pregnant with his child. He wanted her to focus most of her energy on developing the antidote so that she wouldn't have the energy to interfere with his affairs. Fan looked deeply at Charlotte, then turned around and left Charlotte's office. After Fan left, Charlotte took out the 5 paintings and went to the villa. Ever since he got angry at Colonel Wu Xiaohua, the special forces guarding the villa were even more polite to Charlotte. Before Charlotte entered the villa, the 2 special forces guards at the door not only checked if he was holding anything in his hand, but they also saluted him. Charlotte just nodded symbolically and went straight into the villa. Then, he went to the underground laboratory. He emptied the workbench and placed everything on it. The compass, the bronze book, the ancient alloy box that was missing a corner, and the 5 paintings that Peaceful had drawn. In the first painting, the needle of the compass was pointing straight up into the sky. That was the last state of the compass. It pointed to the last hidden treasure. The bronze book in the second painting was closed. There was nothing special about it. Charlotte had already deciphered the bronze book, so he didn't pay too much attention to this painting. The third drawing was of an old alloy box that was missing a corner. He compared it to the real box, and he was shocked to find that the 3 sides of the box that Peaceful had drawn were the same as the real box. Even the lines were exactly the same. A painting like that could be used as a picture. But Peaceful hadn't even seen the box. The fourth painting was the ancient alloy box with the remaining 3 sides. It was exactly the same as the other 3 sides of the real ancient alloy box. The patterns were exactly the same. That included the ancient alloy part that he hadn't seen yet. Obviously, this wasn't a coincidence. She had done it on purpose. The man in the 5th painting was naked. His body was strong and well-proportioned, but he didn't have a face. The bottom right corner had the name Charlotte, but Charlotte was sure that the person in the painting wasn't him. Charlotte looked at everything again and again. At the same time, he tried all kinds of methods to find clues from these silent objects. Unfortunately, he didn't find anything. In the end, his thoughts returned to what Peaceful had said. Emptiness isn't the sky. There is no distance. Time isn't time. 1,000 years pass in the blink of an eye. A traveler comes from a distant space. The sky isn't an obstacle, and time can't erase his body. He's looking for a starting point, but he's lost in the dark world. He's about to forget himself. The only thing that can. Suddenly, a light appeared in Charlotte's head. Before it appeared, his brain was like a pile of paste. After it appeared, his thoughts showed signs of clarity. The paste also changed toward the direction of clear water. Charlotte's eyes slowly moved to the ancient alloy box and then fixed on the gap. Chapter 653. The gap on the ancient alloy box looked ordinary and ordinary. It was just a hole formed by a missing part. However, Charlotte had once put a ball pen in it, and the result was quite terrifying. It was now in front of him without any movement, but it was still full of mystery and awe-inspiring. Emptiness is not the sky. There is no distance. Time is not time. 1,000 years pass in the blink of an eye. A traveler comes from a distant space and time. The sky is not his obstacle, and time cannot erase his body. He is looking for a starting point, but he is lost in the dark world. He is about to forget himself, the only thing that can. Charlotte was still thinking about this sentence in his mind, and the glimmer of light that appeared in his mind before became clearer and clearer. A few minutes later, Charlotte found a screwdriver and carefully put it into the gap in the ancient alloy box. Last time, he put a ball pen in the ancient alloy box, and this time he planned to use a more solid object to do the experiment. The screwdriver was longer than the ancient alloy box, but the gap in the ancient alloy box seemed to be a bottomless hole, and the screwdriver could not reach the bottom at all. When the handle of the screwdriver only had a little bit left, Charlotte suddenly put the screwdriver into the ancient alloy box, and then quickly withdrew his hand. The screwdriver disappeared, and this time he felt a trace of energy fluctuation in the gap. This trace of energy fluctuation was very fast, and disappeared in the blink of an eye, so fast that he did not dare to confirm it was real. Charlotte did not dwell on this issue, and his eyes moved to the watch. It was exactly 1 second since he put the screwdriver in, and he remembered this time. Tick-tock, tick-tock, tick-tock. After the second hand moved 59 times, a sudden energy fluctuation was released in the void. Immediately, The screwdriver that had disappeared just now appeared. It quietly floated in the void, as if there was an invisible tray holding it. Its body was covered in rust, and even the plastic on the handle had disappeared. It gave people the feeling that it had spent 1,000 years in the wind and sun. Ha! The screwdriver fell on the workbench, and although it did not turn into a pile of powder after the rust fell, it looked only 1/10 of its original appearance, and it was crooked and not smooth at all. Although he had tried this several times, Charlotte's heart was still full of fear. A screwdriver in, and 9 out of 10 had become rust, and even the plastic handle had decomposed. This was clearly 1,000 years of time. If a living person went in and came out, wouldn't he become a pile of bones? But the inspiration that Charlotte had just thought of was to enter the ancient alloy box. Emptiness is not the sky. There's no distance. Time is not time. In the blink of an eye, 1,000 years. Time is not time. In the blink of an eye, there's no distance. The screwdriver disappeared from the ancient alloy box, but it reappeared out of thin air. The sky was no longer the sky. It had no distance. As for time, the screwdriver entered the ancient alloy box for a minute, and when it reappeared from the void, it had already been weathered for 1,000 years. This phenomenon coincided with the saying that time was not time, but 1,000 years in the blink of an eye. Time seemed to say that someone had entered the world inside the ancient alloy box through this tunnel, but time did not destroy that person's body. It seemed to say that someone had entered the world inside the ancient alloy box through this tunnel, but time did not destroy that person's body. He was looking for a starting point, but he was lost in the dark world. This sentence seemed to say that the person was looking for something, but he was lost in the dark world. This dark world could also be understood as the world inside the ancient alloy box. Princess Yong may have described it before. She said that the world inside the box was dark. There was nothing there, and it was very cold. Her description was another form of evidence. This was what Charlotte analyzed and understood based on Peaceful's words. He felt that his analysis and understanding were about right. But Peaceful did not finish. Peaceful's last sentence was, "He has almost forgotten himself. The only thing he can do is..." It was that sentence that confused him. He could not understand what it meant. No matter what, it was not easy to find a clue. "I have to give it a try." Charlotte turned around and left the underground lab. 10 minutes later, Charlotte returned to the lab. He was holding a plastic bag. Inside the bag was a cicada and a cricket. He had caught them in the green belt outside the mansion. There was also a live chicken that he had requested from the cafeteria. It was not in a plastic bag, but it was held in his other hand. Cluck, cluck, cluck. The live chicken kept clucking. The chicken's brain was very simple. He did not know if it was afraid or not. The live chicken did not die immediately after entering the underground lab, and it did not show any signs of going crazy. But a crazy chicken was something that not many people in this world had seen before. Charlotte was not in the mood to study the reaction of a live chicken exposed to the ancient alloy energy field. After returning to the lab, he grabbed the cicada and used a pair of tweezers to carefully shove it into the hole in the ancient alloy box. A minute later, the space above the ancient alloy box rippled with energy, but it was not a cicada that appeared. Instead, it was a gray and fine ash. Then, Charlotte put the cricket in. The result was the same. A minute later, what appeared in the air was not a cricket, but a small amount of fine ash. It was obvious that the cricket and the cicada could not withstand the weathering of 1,000 years. When they came out, they had already turned to ash. There was no way of knowing how long the cricket and cicada had been in the world inside the box, but outside, it was only a minute. Life and death had been decided. After a short pause, Charlotte grabbed the live chicken and carefully shoved it into the hole in the ancient alloy box. The size of the chicken was several times larger than the entire ancient alloy box, but the strange thing was that the gap was like a real black hole. The energy field of any object that entered it would change and be compressed. When the entire chicken was put in, the chicken didn't even touch the ancient alloy box. It gave people the feeling that it would not be a problem to put a car in, let alone a chicken. because any object that wanted to enter the hole would trigger a mysterious energy field. Once it was triggered, the energy field would open up like the mouth of a funnel, and bigger objects could be put in. Charlotte did not try to see how big the hole in the ancient alloy box could be, but he guessed that if he wanted to go in, he could. The space trembled, and then a pile of chicken bones fell down, along with some fine ash. The chicken bones smashed onto the workbench and turned into powder. Not even a complete bone was left. Before trying these three things, Charlotte had another idea. He wanted to take the risk and enter the space inside the box. But now, he retreated again. He only had one life. Although he might see the truth after going in, if he had to pay the price with his life, he would rather not see the truth. After trying, Charlotte fell into deep thought. Peaceful's words were a hint to let people go in, but in this situation, who would dare to go in? But if I don't go in, this clue is meaningless. Sigh. He sighed. He had finally found a clue, but he did not expect to be stuck again. Ring, ring, ring. Ring, ring, ring. Charlotte's phone suddenly rang. He took it out and looked at it. Then he swiped the answer button. Masato, speak. What is it? Lu Sheng went to the office to look for you, but you weren't there. I asked him, and he said that a few Germans came and wanted to see you. I told him that I wanted to contact you, but he is still waiting for a reply. Should I let those Germans in? It was Ryu Youngnam's voice. A few Germans? Charlotte frowned. Did Lu Sheng ask about their identity and why they came? Ryu Youngnam's voice came from the phone. Then, the voice became clearer. Brother, I just asked. Lu Sheng said that the German ambassador came before, and his name is Philip. His assistant is a woman called Alida. There's also a woman, and he doesn't know her name. She is very young. I understand. I'll be right there. Charlotte said, Masato, you ask Lu Sheng to let them in, and then bring them to my office. Got it, brother. Ryu Youngnam hung up the phone. Charlotte's mouth couldn't help but show a smile. This was the first time that Xia Shui wasn't by Ryu Youngnam's side, and Ryu Youngnam called a brother. This showed that the relationship between Ryu Youngnam and Xia Shui had developed to the level of half a family. Ryu Youngnam had a good personality and was capable. More importantly, he saw from the last trip to Germany that Ryu Youngnam was a person who valued relationships. Xia Shui was with Ryu Youngnam, so he was relieved as her brother. However, the smile on Charlotte's face quickly disappeared. The Thunderhorse military factory had just completed a comprehensive upgrade, and the Hellhound cannon had just been launched. The Germans came to the door again. As the saying goes, those who come are not kind, and those who are kind don't come. This time, Philip was probably ordered by the German government. A moment later, Xia Lei collected all the items and put them into the safe. A young German woman? Lu Sheng doesn't know her. She is obviously not a Nina. Maybe she is a German agent or a government worker. Leaving the villa and walking to the office building, Charlotte pondered in his heart. Before he reached the office building, Xia Shui ran over and said from a distance, Brother, I have something to tell you. What's the matter? Charlotte said with a smile, Don't tell me you want me to prepare your dowry. Xia Shui's cheeks suddenly blushed. She hit Charlotte's arm. Brother, we haven't reached that level yet. Don't lie to me. Masato has changed to call me brother. This means that you're already discussing when to get married, right? It doesn't matter. When I, Charlotte, marry my sister, there will definitely be a dowry of 1 billion or 800 million. Charlotte's mood became better again. I don't want to talk to you anymore. Xia Shui couldn't resist Charlotte's teasing, so she turned and ran. Charlotte said, Didn't you say you wanted to talk to me about something? Why did you run again? Xia Shui stopped. I forgot. It's all because of you. Tell me, what's the matter? Today I received a package. It was sent to the school. I also went to the school to pick it up. That's it. Charlotte was a bit baffled. Xia Shui said, It's not an ordinary package. It contains... Before Xia Shui finished speaking, a man's voice suddenly came from above her head. Mr. Xia, I'm here again. How long are you going to let me wait up there? Xia Shui looked up and saw the German ambassador, Philip. Xia Shui said, Brother, you go and do your business first. When you are done, I will talk to you again. Charlotte thought for a moment and said, don't touch the things in the package. Bring the package to my office later. And I got it. Xia Shui ran away happily. Chapter 654. There were 3 people in the office. Charlotte knew about Philip and his assistant, Alida, but he didn't expect the 3rd person to be her. The European version of Charami, Germany's top mechanic, Sylvia. She didn't change much. Her burgundy hair was tied into a simple ponytail. Paired with a delicate face that could be compared to an Asian woman, she was as pretty as a doll. However, under her innocent appearance, there was a sexy and ruthless figure. Her plump body, her slender waist, and her plump and perky buttocks were like ripe peaches, which could easily arouse the desire of men. The red-haired beauty in front of him reminded Charlotte of his 2nd time in Germany. "Mr. Xia, we meet again." Sylvia took the initiative to extend a hand to Charlotte with a smile. "How are you?" Charlotte came back to his senses. He shook Sylvia's hand, smiled, and said in German, "I'm fine, Miss Sylvia. Hello, welcome to China." After a pause, he said, "This isn't Germany. You can rest assured that there won't be any kidnappings or terrorist attacks directed by the government, and there won't be any persecution." He was talking about the things that the German government had done. Philip's expression became a little awkward. He was standing there representing the German government. Charlotte said those things in front of him. He felt that Charlotte was already setting up obstacles for the upcoming conversation. "Mr. Xia, it's nice to see you again." No matter what, Philip still shamelessly greeted Charlotte and shook hands with Charlotte. After a few words of greeting, Charlotte invited the 3 Germans to take a seat. Ryu Youngnam made coffee for the 3 Germans and a cup of tea for Charlotte. Charlotte hadn't hired a secretary, so this kind of thing could only be done by him as an assistant. "Get the HR department to find me a secretary," Charlotte said. In the past, he didn't think that there was anything wrong with Ryu Youngnam doing these things, but Ryu Youngnam was now Xia Shui's boyfriend, and he would be his brother-in-law in the future. He felt that it was inappropriate to let him do these things. Ryu Youngnam was very attentive and whispered, "Brother, it's nothing, but you really should hire a secretary. I'll go talk to the Human Resource Department and let them pick a suitable secretary for you. What do you want?" "I don't have any requirements as long as you know a foreign language and are good at your job," Charlotte said. Ryu Youngnam left with Charlotte's request. "Speak." After Ryu Youngnam left, Charlotte went straight to the point. "What brings the 3 of you here?" "It's like this, Philip said with a smile. "We specially sent Sylvia over for inspection and technical exchange." "Inspection and technical exchange?" Charlotte's gaze moved to Sylvia. "Just you alone?" Sylvia nodded. "And just me alone." Charlotte smiled. "You represent Rainmetal, right? However, I don't have any official letter from Rainmetal." "You came because I told you to come for inspection and technical exchange. But the problem is, did I agree to it? Moreover, even if I agree, it won't work. The higher-ups have to agree first. Many of the technologies and equipment of Thunder Horse Military Factory were military secrets. Germany's Rainmetal sent a technical representative for inspection and technical exchange. This definitely needed the approval of the higher-ups. Even if Charlotte was the boss of Thunder Horse Military Factory, he didn't have the right to allow such a thing. Sylvia glanced at Philip. Philip gave Alida a look. Alida then took out a document from her briefcase and handed it to Charlotte with both hands. Saleh opened the file and glanced at it. He immediately frowned. The person who signed the document to allow Sylvia to come to Thunder Horse Military Factory for inspection and technical exchange was actually Yushana. He had enough weight to write such words. However, the content of the document was very simple. Other than the approval for Sylvia to come to Thunder Horse Military Factory for inspection and technical exchange, there was nothing else. Charlotte thought to himself, "That's strange. Even if Yushana wanted to mess with me, he wouldn't be so stupid as to allow a German arms magnate to send someone to steal and learn from me. What's the difference between this and betrayal? Could it be that someone from the higher-ups has made a deal with the German government?" Then Philip said, "Mr. Xia, as you can see, we've already gotten your permission. So, Please facilitate this good thing. Good thing? Hee hee. Charlotte laughed. I don't think this is a good thing. Moreover, Yushana agreed, but I didn't. This is Thunder Horse Military Factory, my private enterprise. Can you, Shanha, make the decision for me? This. Philip's face suddenly turned ugly. Sylvia was also anxious. Mr. Xia, I know you're still upset about what happened in Germany, but that's none of my business. I'm just here for inspection and technical exchange. Ring, 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 ring. A series of ringtones interrupted Sylvia's words. Charlotte took out his phone and glanced at it, then got up and walked to the door. At the door, he slid the answer button. Charlotte, the Germans are already at your place, right? Tang Tianlong's voice came from the phone. Uncle Tang, what's going on? Charlotte said directly. I saw the document signed by Yushanha, but he didn't explain the reason. Sylvia is the most powerful mechanic in Germany, and she also represents Rainmetal, which is the leader of Germany's military industry. Do you understand the severity of this matter? Of course I understand the severity of this matter, Tang Tianlong said. I'm calling to tell you the reason. The document you saw was signed by Yushanha? Yes, but the person who finalized this matter wasn't Yushanha. Then who was it? Don't ask. I'll tell you the reason. Tang Tianlong said, this is still a deal. The German side will send a technical team to help us produce and manufacture the Typhoon fighter engine. Isn't that production line completed? It's completed, but our manpower isn't good, and it's still a little lacking. Although the problem can be solved after a period of exploration, the effect will undoubtedly be better if the German technicians personally come to help. You know, the reason won't be written on the document. So that's the reason. All right, I'm fine with it. Charlotte never refused anything that was beneficial to the country. Wait, why did I want to say something? Charlotte's heart skipped a beat. Uncle Tang, if you have something to say, just say it. I'll tell you this in private, so you have to keep your mouth shut. Well, I won't tell anyone. The German called Sylvia coming to your factory is only the first part of the deal. Later, the Germans will send a team of all technicians to your factory to conduct a comprehensive inspection of your military factory. Charlotte's brows suddenly furrowed. He was actually not afraid of Sylvia, because no matter how powerful she was just a mechanic, a person who processed parts. However, it would be another matter if a team composed entirely of technicians was stationed in the Thunder Horse military factory. The artillery technology, tank technology, and defense system technology of the Thunder Horse military factory were all improved and upgraded based on Rainmetal's technology. If a team of all highly skilled technicians were stationed at the Thunder Horse military factory, it would be difficult to guarantee that some key improvements and upgrades would not be stolen by the other party. If Rainmetal also upgraded their production line, the Thunder Horse military factory's pace of conquering the world market would not be so easy. Also, after a pause, Tang Tianlong said, there's one last part. When the German personnel leave, they will take away a Thunder Dragon intelligent machine tool. Of course, it's the first generation, not the second. Take away a Thunder Dragon intelligent machine tool? Then Rainmetal can start the XL 2500 production line and Gale assault rifle production line that I built in Germany. Do you know what this means? Charlotte's voice was full of anger. I know you're not happy, but I think you should first understand what your sacrifice will bring us. What did the Germans sacrifice? It's submarine technology. Charlotte was taken aback for a moment. The Germans were the first country to use submarines in combat. During World War II, the Germans' U-boats were outstanding. After World War II, many countries' submarine technology was also developed based on the German submarine technology. But now, the Germans' conventional submarine technology was still leading the world. Their conventional submarines were the quietest and almost impossible to detect. They were the true killer of large warships. If they could get the Germans' advanced submarine technology, it would be a great thing for the country and its people. You know, our sea is not quiet. Our submarine technology is behind the European and American countries. Even Japan is ahead of us. This is an opportunity, and we need your help. I won't say anything about glory and merits. I know you don't care about those things, but I know you. But I know you as a person. You have a passionate, patriotic heart. You also want our country to be stable and strong, right? Charlotte was silent for a moment and then said, "You've always wanted me to give, and I've always given. I've never asked anything from you. This time, I have a request, and you must satisfy it." "What request do you have? Just mention it. I'll tell you 3 days later." "That's all," said Charlotte. "Okay, I'll come and talk to you personally." Tang Tianlong hung up the phone. Charlotte turned and entered the office with a smile on his face. "Miss Sylvia, I'll get someone to arrange a place for you later. We have a VIP room specially prepared for our clients." Sylvia was stunned for a moment before she also smiled. "Mr. Xia, I knew you would agree. But I won't be staying in the VIP room. I heard from Anina that you have a villa here. She used to live in that villa. Can I stay in her room?" She actually talked to Anina and even said that she wanted to stay in Anina's room. "What's going on? Is there a problem?" Charlotte shrugged. "No problem." Chapter 655. You've always wanted me to contribute, and I've always been contributing. I've never asked for anything from you. This time, I have a request, and you have to fulfill it. That was what Charlotte told Tang Tianlong. He wanted to send a message to the higher-ups through Tang Tianlong. This time, he wouldn't be contributing for nothing. His request was actually very simple, and that was the return of his father, Xia Changhe. All this while, he had been building up his contributions and working hard for China's military industry, and he had never asked for anything in return. Now that the Thunder Horse military factory had been fully upgraded and the Hellhound cannon was born, along with more advanced heavy weapons and defense systems, it was time for his father, Xia Changhe, to return. This time, Sylvia's arrival was the perfect time to raise this request. If he missed this opportunity, he wouldn't be able to bring it up. Actually, Charlotte didn't care about how much money he could earn or how much glory he could obtain. It was more meaningful for him to let his father return and live a normal life. However, before raising this request, the first thing Charlotte had to do was to find his father, Xia Changhe, and talk to him. However, this wasn't an easy task. His father, Xia Changhe, had always been elusive. He would only appear when Xia Yang wanted to see him, and he had never taken the initiative to meet him. After settling Sylvia in Anina's room in the villa, Charlotte began to ponder how he could find his father, Xia Changhe. "I have to talk to him. If I raise this request and the higher-ups agree to it, but he's not willing, then it'll be terrible. If I miss this opportunity, there won't be a next time. Even if he doesn't agree, I have to find a way to convince him," Charlotte thought to himself. Sylvia opened her luggage and took out a huge envelope before handing it to Charlotte. "Mr. Xia, this is what Anina asked me to pass to you." Charlotte took the envelope and opened it to find a stack of photos. These photos were all of Anina, and each one was related to her castle. There were pictures of her standing in front of the castle behind her magnificent. There were photos of her in a bikini next to the swimming pool in the castle. The water in the swimming pool was crystal clear. There were pictures of her naked on the side of a soft and comfortable bed. There was also a photo of her barbecuing on the balcony of the castle, wearing only a pair of triangular panties. The beef on the barbecue rack was almost 80% done. Anina had gotten her wish. She was happy now. That was enough. Charlotte's lips curled into a smile as he put the photos away. "She is so happy," said Sylvia, her blue eyes a little enviously. "Have you become friends with Anina?" Charlotte asked casually. Sylvia said, "Yes. I stayed at her place for a while before I came to Germany. She talked a lot about you." "What did he talk about?" "Don't worry," Sylvia said with a smile. She didn't say a word about the secrets of the Thunder Horse military factory. "We only talked about women's topics, emotions, and life. Well, she shared her love story with me. As a woman, I envy her. You rest first. I still have to do something." Charlotte turned and left. "Mr. Xia, can I have the honor of having dinner with you?" Sylvia suddenly said. Charlotte stopped but didn't look back. "Not today. Next time. Also, I have to remind you that there are special forces guards here. All your actions are under their surveillance. Don't do anything stupid." Sylvia curled her lips. "I'm not a child." Charlotte didn't say anything more to her and left. How to find my father, Xia Changhe? This was a problem he urgently needed to solve. He wasn't in the mood to chat with Sylvia. Leaving the villa, Charlotte walked to the parking lot. Brother, Xia Shui chased after him with a package. Are you going out? Seeing the package in Xia Shui's hand, Charlotte remembered what Xia Shui mentioned to him before. His left eye moved slightly. Before Xia Shui handed the package to him, he had already seen what was inside. The package contained a lot of Russian documents and some photos. Before Charlotte could take a closer look, Xia Shui had already walked to his side. Brother, it's this package. You asked me to bring it to you, and I brought it to you. Take a look. The things inside are so strange. I don't understand Russian. Otherwise, I would know what it is. Charlotte took the package and said, Don't leave the factory these days. You tell Masao not to leave the Thunder Horse military factory. What happened? Xia Shui was slightly nervous. Charlotte said, Don't worry about it. Just listen to me. Remember, this is not a joke. I'm serious. Don't leave the Thunder Horse military factory. Xia Shui said, Well, I'll call the school and ask for a few days off. Go back. I'll take care of this package. Charlotte said, then I'll go back. Xia Shui left. Charlotte got into the driver's seat of the Chevrolet Suburban off-road vehicle. Then he opened the package and took out the documents and photos inside. Those photos were very old photos, and the content was related to a teenager. The teenager was a Chinese teenager. One photo was of the teenager shooting 2 Russian soldiers with an AK-47. Another photo was of the teenager training for fighting. Several strong teenagers of the same age were lying beside him. There were white and black people. One photo was of the teenager standing straight and saluting a black flag. The flag was just dark, and there was nothing on it. There were a few other photos, but the content was bloody and cruel. This teenager was none other than the teenage version of Xia Changhe. Charlotte looked at the documents. Several documents in the package were secret documents of the FA organization. The content of the documents was different, but they were all related to Xia Changhe's mission in China. With these documents, Xia Changhe was enough to be shot 10 times. Xia Shui didn't know Devon, and she couldn't see that the teenager in the photo was her father. This was not surprising. After all, she was just an ordinary person. She didn't even know what the FA organization was. But what Charlotte didn't understand was why the package containing the secret documents and photos of the FA organization was sent to Xia Shui. This is obviously the work of the FA organization. But if the FA organization wants to threaten me, isn't it simpler and more effective to come at me directly? They sent the package to Xia Shui. Are they trying to tell me that Xia Shui is also their target? Charlotte thought in his heart. This seemed to be the only explanation. Charlotte put the documents and photos into the package, then started the car and left the Lei Majun factory. Ring, 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 ring. The phone suddenly rang. It was a strange number. Charlotte switched the phone to Bluetooth mode, and a woman's voice came from the car's speaker system. Charlotte, long time no see. Have you been living well recently? This voice was the voice of Gu Qian. Even if it turned into ashes, Charlotte would still remember it. Charlotte sneered. I was wondering who it was. It turned out to be you. That package was sent by you, right? If you want to threaten me with the things in the package, I advise you to give up. I sent it, but I didn't threaten you. I just think that there are some things that you need to see, and they should be kept by you. After all, it's your father's things. How can you get the secret documents of the FA organization? Charlotte had a trace of doubt in his heart. Do you want to know the answer? Come to Japan to find me, and I will tell you everything. But the question is, do you dare? Gu Qian's tone was full of provocation. Charlotte suddenly thought of another woman, Yamosa. In Japan, Yamosa, the ace killer of the FA organization, used Gu Qian as bait to deal with him. Later, Long Bing killed Gu Qian, but Gu Qian was later resurrected. This matter must have something to do with Yamosa. Oh, I suddenly understand. You're probably getting a salary from a CA, but you're working for the FA organization, right? You really know how to make up stories. You should be a screenwriter. Is Yamasa with you? Let her talk to me. I don't know who you were talking about. I'm thinking, if the things in the package appear in Sherborne's office, what will happen in the end? It wasn't a threat, but every word was a threat. Tell me, what do you want? It's not clear on the phone. Let's meet. Okay, when and where? Wait for my call. After that, Gu Qin hung up the phone. Meet? A cold smile appeared on Charlotte's face. Whether it was the CIB or the FA organization, their target was him. So whether standing in the CIB's camp or standing in the FA organization's camp, her target was still him. And his goal had never changed. That was to make Gu Qin disappear from this world. For this purpose, meeting Gu Qin was also necessary. DD, an electric scooter, suddenly rushed out from the side of the country road. It was a girl riding the scooter. She looked very clumsy and almost hit Charlotte's car. Charlotte braked, poked his head out of the window, and asked with concern, "Are you okay?" The little girl also stopped the scooter and looked back at Charlotte. Only then did Charlotte realize that she was not a little girl at all. Her chest was full and firm, but was also big. She was completely a mature woman. Then his eyes moved to her face, and he also found that she was wearing a human skin mask. This woman was none other than his father, Xia Chang's assistant, Yelena. It was no wonder that Charlotte didn't recognize her. In the past, when Yelena appeared, she always rode a motorcycle and wore a tight black leather suit, which was very eye-catching. This time, she rode an electric scooter and dressed like a little girl, which was not her style at all. Yelena just glanced at Charlotte, then rode the scooter forward. She didn't speak, nor did she chew gum, which was obviously a sign for him to follow her. Charlotte then started the scooter and followed her from a distance. Yelena didn't ride on the main road for long. About 5 minutes later, she rode the scooter into a country road. This road was just wide enough to accommodate Charlotte's car. If a car came from the opposite direction, he wouldn't be able to take the wrong one. On both sides of the country road were farmland with vegetables and food crops, and there were farmers working in the fields. Yelena didn't stop, and Charlotte bit the bullet and followed her. Chapter 656. At the end of the country road was a village. By the time he saw it, it was already half an hour later. This place was no longer within the boundaries of Whitestag town. It was very remote, and Charlotte had never been here before. A Shiba Inu barked fiercely at Xia Lei's Chevrolet Suburban off-road vehicle. After Charlotte honked the horn, the dog ran away. In front of him, Yelena rode the battery-powered scooter up an even smaller road on the hillside. Charlotte could no longer drive up this road. He got off the scooter and climbed up on foot. Yelena did not stop. She quickly disappeared on the shaded path. After Xia Lei climbed for a few hundred meters, he saw a small farmyard. There were a few blue-tiled houses and a courtyard wall. Behind the house was a dense bamboo forest, and further away was an even denser mountain forest. The door of the farmhouse's courtyard was tightly shut, and the paint on the door was almost peeling off. There were clumps of black, white, and red, but the colors were not bright. It gave off the feeling of being battered by wind and rain for decades. Saleh walked over. He didn't knock on the door and directly pushed it open because he had already seen the situation behind the door. In the yard, Yelena was standing behind a middle-aged man. The middle-aged man had a yellowish-black face and a pair of large hands full of calluses. He looked like a farmer through and through. But Charlotte knew that he was no farmer. He was his father, Xia Changhe. His father, Xia Changhe, wore a human skin mask just like Yelena. Charlotte couldn't help but smile. He was worried that he wouldn't be able to find his father, Xia Changhe. He didn't think that he would appear when he wanted to see him. It was like this every time. "Dad, have you always lived here?" Charlotte closed the gate and walked up. Xia Changhe opened his arms and hugged Charlotte. He patted Charlotte's back hard and said, "The FA organization and the CIA are after me all over the world. Where's the safest place?" Of course it was China. After you came back from Germany, I took a fancy to this place. The owners of the house had moved into town, and I rented the place, which they had abandoned. This place is very close to you. If something happens to you, I can rush over to help you as soon as possible. I really didn't expect you to be by my side. Charlotte couldn't help but smile. Yelena said, "When I'm free, I'll stay in Whitestag and gather information about you. Your father, and I know almost everything that has happened to you. Otherwise, why do you think I would appear at this time today? You already know what happened? Charlotte was a little surprised. Yelena suddenly put her finger in her mouth and whistled loudly. Charlotte suddenly realized something and turned to look in the direction of the gate. The gate disappeared from his left eye, and he saw a young man in a security uniform walking over with a package in his arms. What surprised him was that the package was given to him by Xia Shui. He didn't take it with him when he went up the mountain. Then, his eyes fixed on a young man's face, and he suddenly froze. That young man was actually a security guard of Thunder Horse Military Factory, Lu Sheng's subordinate. Charlotte remembered his name. He was Erdamu, a Mongolian. When Thunder Horse Military Factory expanded its recruitment of security guards, those who had retired from the army were given priority. He didn't expect that such an ordinary worker would appear in front of him in such a way. Erdamu opened the gate and walked in. When he saw Charlotte, he lowered his head and said with an ashamed look, "Chairman Xia, I'm sorry. I'm working for your father." Charlotte smiled bitterly and wanted to say something, but he couldn't. Fortunately, he was working for his father, Xia Changhe. It would have been terrible if he had been working for the FA organization or the CIA. Erdamu handed the package to Xia Changhe. Xia Changhe opened it, took a few glances, and then sneered, "They finally used me to threaten you. It seems that whether it is the FA or the CIA, their patience has been worn out by you." Charlotte said, "This package was sent by Gu Qin. I suspect that she is now a double agent. On the surface, she is the Asian director of the CIA, but in fact, she is working for Yamosa of the FA organization. Back then, Long Bing killed Gu Qin in Japan, and Yamosa took her body away. Gu Qin is resurrected, and the person who can save her can only be Yamosa." Xiao Changhe glanced at Erdamu and said, "You can leave and keep an eye on the outside." Erdamu nodded, turned around, and left the farmhouse. Only then did Charlotte say, "Dad, is he reliable?" Xiao Changhe said, "If he wasn't reliable, he would have died a long time ago. I knew him more than 10 years ago when he was only 9 years old. His mother was seriously ill, and his father broke his leg on the construction site. I paid for his mother to be cured and supported him to study. Every winter, I would go to Mongolia and train him personally." Charlotte couldn't help but look at Yelena. Yelena was also the Russian version of Erdamu. It seemed that his father, Xia Changhe, was very good at cultivating his own strength in this way. "Dad, how many people like this do you have?" Charlotte asked. He was very curious about this. Xia Changhe said 12. "I don't need a team of dozens or hundreds of people. I just need an elite team that is competent for any mission. They're distributed all over the world and can come and go on my beck and call. They're all trained by me personally, but they have their own areas of expertise. It can be said that they are all people that I have carefully selected. The one who just left, his code name is Tiger." Xiao Lei suddenly felt that his father was really an old shark who was hiding his strength. Xiao Changhe stepped aside and pointed at Yelena. "Her code name is Chicken." Chicken. Charlotte didn't expect that Yelena actually had such a code name in his father's mind. Rat, cow, tiger, rabbit, dragon, snake, horse, sheep, monkey, chicken, dog, pig. Xiao Changhe said, "Their code names are one of the 12 zodiac animals. The one that Liang Xiao killed is a pig." Charlotte couldn't forget that woman. Her name was Yevgenia. In Haizhu, Liang Xiao killed her with a sniper rifle. At that time, she was being exposed to him as the real identity of Liang Xiao. "Yevgenia is already dead." After a pause, Charlotte said, "Has anyone replaced her position?" "Of course." "Ooh," Xiao Changhe smiled. "I will keep her secret for now, but you will know when it's time to let you know. You have to remember that this Zodiac team is the only gift that I, as your father, can give you. Now I give this team to you. From now on, they will listen to your orders." Charlotte was stunned on the spot. He knew very well that the reason why his father, Xia Changhe, could survive the global pursuit of the CIA and the FA organization was because of this Zodiac team. Also, the reason why his father, Xia Changhe, could grasp information from all over the world was undoubtedly because of this Zodiac team. This Zodiac team was equivalent to his talisman, and now his father was giving it to him. A father's love was like a mountain. Charlotte's eyes were slightly wet. Dad, you are giving me the team that you have worked so hard to build. What are you going to do? Xia Chang has sighed. You are in such a hurry to find me. How can I not know what you are thinking? You have made so many contributions. Isn't it to exchange for a peace for me, a time when I can take my grandchildren to the park in my old age? I am old, and it is time for me to step down. But your road has just begun, and this Zodiac team can help you. Nothing could be hidden from his father. An old shark was indeed an old shark. Dad, does that mean you agree? If I don't agree, then wouldn't all your efforts be in vain? I'm afraid that Xia Shui has almost forgotten me. If I don't go home soon, I am afraid that she won't recognize me. She's about to marry that boy named Ryu Youngnam, right? I don't want to miss her wedding. Xia Chang's eyes were full of peace and expectation. No father was willing to miss his daughter's wedding, even if he was a shark-level father like Xia Changhe. Charlotte couldn't help but show an excited smile. That's good. I can propose it to the top. I have paid so much, and I only have one request. They have no reason not to agree to it. Yelena was a little worried. Then how will you tell those people about your father's identity? Charlotte smiled. It doesn't matter. What matters is that he is my father. If they don't agree, they will regret it. Xia Chang has said, I'm not worried about that. What I'm worried about is the FA organization. With the style of the FA organization, they will never send you a package to threaten you. Charlotte said, if they attack, I will fight back. I will make them regret it. This time, I will kill Gu Qin no matter what. You don't have a decent bodyguard around you. Take Yelena with you. She is a good marksman and is best at eliminating potential dangerous targets. Do you know why her codename is Chicken? Chicken can eat bugs hidden in the grass, Xia Chang has said. Charlotte looked at Yelena. Are you willing to come with me? Yelena slightly raised the corner of her mouth. Because of your father, I can do anything for you. Xiao Lei smiled. All right, I happen to be lacking a secretary by my side. You'll do it. He had originally asked the personnel department to hire a secretary for him. But now that he had Yelena, there was no need to hire another secretary. Xia Chang has said, you have met 2 members of the Zodiac team, and there are 10 more you haven't met. Once I'm done with my business, I'll gather them to meet with you. I want to announce it in front of them. Will the person with the code name Pig come? Charlotte asked. Xia Changhe patted Charlotte's shoulder and said with a smile, don't worry. You will know who she is when the time comes. Charlotte couldn't help but guess the identity of the pig, but unfortunately, he couldn't guess it. Yelena, you go back with Charlotte. From now on, you're his person. As his secretary, you don't need to hide anymore. Take off your mask. Xia Chang has said. Yelena didn't say anything and just nodded. Then, she took off the human skin mask on her face, revealing her original face. Blonde hair, blue eyes, tall body, long legs, she was very sexy, but also gave people a very dangerous feeling. Charlotte also understood that the reason why a dangerous person like Yelena was willing to obey him was because of his father, Xia Changhe. Although his father had retired, these people would still listen to his orders. So, as long as his father was still alive, the members of the Zodiac team would unite around him and listen to his orders. Facing the threat of the CIA and the FA organization, Charlotte felt for the first time that his fist was hard. Chapter 657. The Chevrolet Suburban off-road van slowly drove to the Thunder Horse Army factory. Yelena, you can speak Chinese, but only some spoken language. Can you read and write? Charlotte asked as he drove. Yelena said, I've been by your father's side for so many years. Do you think I only have the ability to speak Chinese? The language she was using at the moment was Chinese. Although it had a bit of a foreigner's accent, it was very fluent. Hearing her tone, Charlotte felt that his question was superfluous. Do you have a Chinese name? Isn't my Russian name transliterated to be my Chinese name? My surname is Yi, and my name is Na. Charlotte shrugged. I don't have any questions. To the outside world, I'll just say that you're a high-level talent I hired from the talent market. You're Russian. Yelena interrupted Charlotte. All the fake files are ready, the whole set. Charlotte shut his mouth and drove. He was still worried that something would go wrong and arouse the suspicion of some people with ulterior motives, but they had everything ready. What else could he worry about? Back at the Thunderhorse Army factory, Dubai, the director of the personnel department led a girl to Charlotte. The girl who came from Dubai's office was very young, in her early 20s. She had an oval face, big and bright eyes, and a good figure. The places that should be big were big, and the places that should be curvy were curvy. Not only were they plump, but they were also tight. With this appearance and this figure, she was like a charming little goblin, tempting people to make mistakes. Chairman Xia, her name is Qin Kaiwe. I just brought her back from the talent market. She graduated from Tsing University, majoring in materials science and engineering. She also majored in economics and finance and received a degree. She also knows English, Japanese, and German. She's a rare high-level talent. Dubai introduced her to Charlotte with a proud look on his face. Hello, Chairman Xia. Qin Kaiwe greeted Charlotte politely with a smile on her face. As she spoke, her hand were placed between her legs, and her small waist was slightly bent. Her movements were relaxed and natural, giving people a very comfortable feeling. Hello, hello. Charlotte also responded politely, and then pulled Dubai to the side. To be honest, this Qin Kaiwe made him a little moved. Of course, this girl was definitely not because she was beautiful or a sexy beauty, but because she was a real talent. Materials science and engineering, which corresponded to the Thunderhorse Army factory. In addition, she had obtained a degree in economics and finance, which could help him deal with the company affairs. However, he had given this position to Yelena. What could Yelena do? Bombing, assassination, tracking, intelligence, and intelligence. Chairman Xia, are you satisfied? Dubai had a smirk on his face. He was one of the people who founded the Lima Group with Xiaolei. He was the hero of the Lima Group and had a good relationship with Xiaolei, so he would not be too reserved in front of Xiaolei. Charlotte whispered, I'm satisfied, but I also found a secretary from the job market. Dubai couldn't help but look at Yelena and said in surprise, Baidu, what should we do? Lu Zhu told me that it was your idea, and I want to find someone right away. You don't know, but the bosses of several companies are fighting for Miss Qing. But when I said that we are the Thunderhorse Army factory, and she is here to be your secretary, they immediately rejected the people from the other companies. In that case, it was really difficult to deal with. At this time, Yelena walked over and pulled Charlotte's sleeve. Xiaolei understood tacitly and followed her a little further away. Let her be your secretary. Yelena went straight to the point. What about you? She is your first secretary, and I am your second secretary. Yelena said, You should know that I am not qualified for the job she is qualified for. My task is to eliminate potential threats around you and protect you. You can't expect me to show you documents when I'm doing this kind of work, right? All right, it's decided. Since Yelena had no opinion and took the initiative to propose it, then Charlotte could make a decision. In this way, Charlotte had two more secretaries by his side. One was the blonde Yelena, and the other was the talented woman Qin Kaiwe, who looked like a little goblin. Dinner was a big table of people, and Charlotte specially invited Sylvia and Qin Kaiwe. Ryu Youngnam and Xia Shui were also eating at the same table. Together with Yelena, the atmosphere was very lively. Qin Kaiwe was very sensible. When Charlotte just finished a glass of red wine, she got up and refilled Charlotte's wine. She also said, Baidu, you have to drink less. Drinking too much is bad for your body. Her voice was gentle and pleasant to listen to. Coupled with her enchanting face, these factors easily attracted men. It wasn't just Charlotte. Even Ryu Youngnam couldn't help but take another look at her. Unfortunately, his actions were seen by Xia Shui. Her punishment was also very timely. She stretched her hand under the table and pinched Ryu Youngnam hard. Ryu Youngnam didn't dare to be angry or say anything, so he obediently accepted it and behaved himself. Charlotte smiled. Kaiwe, don't mind me. Just eat. All right. Qin Kaiwe sat down beside Charlotte again, looking very peaceful. Compared to Qin Kaiwe, Charlotte's other secretary, Yelena, gave off a completely different vibe. She hadn't said a single word since dinner started. She sat beside Charlotte and enjoyed her dinner, giving off a cold vibe. Masahiro, go look for the mayor of Whitestag tomorrow, Charlotte said, changing the topic. Get him to approve a few acres of land. Brother, why do you want a few acres of land? Ryu, Youngnam asked in confusion. We took a lot of land for the expansion last time. We haven't finished using it yet. Charlotte said, I'm not asking for the expansion. I'm asking for a house. I haven't been able to buy a house in the capital, so it's about time I build one here. Take the land beside our factory and build it right next to it. After you get the land, get the construction team to do the work. Let's build an old-fashioned courtyard. I don't want a courtyard house either. That's for northerners. I want a southerner's house. Brother, are you going to settle down here? Xia Shui asked excitedly. Charlotte nodded. We spend most of our time in the capital. How can we not have a home here? Lane Lodge was his home before his divorce from Shinta Tianin, so he didn't need to build a house. After his divorce with Shinta Tianin, Lane Lodge was no longer his home. His father, Xia Changhe, would be returning soon, so he had to give his father a place to enjoy his old age. He planned to build the house next to Lane's military factory. There would be regular warriors and special forces guarding the place. There would also be people from Innings 101 patrolling the perimeter for security, so it would be the safest place. Letting his father, Xia Changhe, live there would be both safe and beneficial for the family. That's great. I agree. Charlotte seemed delighted. But brother, what's your status now? Why are you only using a few acres of land to build a house? Sis Tianin used to build your house with her and yours. You can't lose to her when it comes to building a house. In my opinion, you should use 100 acres of land to build a huge manor. Beautiful and majestic. That's more befitting of your status. Charlotte, however, said, what do you know? There's an old saying that goes, complacency invites disaster. Even if I build the most beautiful house, it might invite disaster one day. A house is just a place for people to live in. Most people only have a few hundred square meters of space. What do I need such a large place for? A few acres of land. Part of it can be used to build a house, another part can be used to plant flowers and plants, and another part can be used to grow fruits and vegetables. I'm already satisfied with that. In Xia Shui's mind, there's already a simple thatched house, then a farmland, and Xia lay working in the field with his trousers rolled up. The real situation was definitely not like this. Her heart was also a little disappointed, but Xia Lei's decision would not be easily changed. It was useless for her to persuade him again. I'll go to the mayor of Whitestag to get the land tomorrow, said Ryu Youngnam. Charlotte nodded and raised his glass. Let's toast to the new house. After dinner, Qin Kai-wei returned to the dormitory the company provided for her. Sylvia and Yelena followed Charlotte to the villa. Ever since he blew up Fanfan's lab, his authority had increased along with that explosion. He just greeted Wu Xiaohua, and then, regardless of Wu Xiaohua's opinion, directly brought Yelena into the villa and arranged a room for her. You can stay here. Let me know if you need anything. Charlotte prepared to leave after arranging a room for Yelena. Yelena said, I don't need anything for now. I'll let you know if I do. Also, I'll take action in special situations. So, don't be surprised if I suddenly burst open your door in the middle of the night while you're making out with some other woman. Charlotte smiled awkwardly. I won't. I understand. All right, I'm fine. Go back and rest, said Yelena. Good night. Charlotte left Yelena's room. Back in his room, Charlotte looked through the secret documents of the FA organization in the package, as well as the photos of his dad when he was a teenager. Whether he should hand these things over or not, and who should he hand them over to, were questions that he needed to consider carefully. I need to keep my dad safe. If I don't tell them who he is and what he did, what if he gets investigated again in the future? I've done so much, and this is a good opportunity, so I need to be thorough and solve the problem once and for all. I'll ask Tang Tianlong and Sherborin to talk and show them the documents. Yes, it's decided. Charlotte had made up his mind. That's right. This time, it was clear that he was using credit in exchange for his dad's safety. If he didn't reveal his dad's identity and what he had done, there would be hidden dangers. He would reveal his dad's identity and what he had done, and then ensure his dad's safety. Based on the secret deal between the higher-ups in Germany, there was no way this wouldn't work. There was another advantage to doing this, and that was he was no longer afraid that the FA organization would threaten him with his dad's secrets. Putting away the documents and photos, Charlotte's eyes moved to the wall on the left. Behind that wall was Sylvia's room. What was the German female mechanic doing at this time? As soon as this thought occurred to him, Charlotte's left eye twitched slightly, and the wall disappeared from his left eye's vision. Chapter 658. Charlotte always maintained a trace of vigilance towards Sylvia. In the room, Sylvia was typing on her laptop. Perhaps it was because of the hot weather, she was only wearing a set of bikini underwear, a white bra without padding, and a pair of white underwear. Whether it was the bra or the underwear, the fabric was pitifully small. Under the light, the white fabric was slightly translucent. Thus, without the need to see through her underwear, some of the secret scenery on her body could be vaguely seen. The particles under the bra were already the skin of the buttocks. That kind of hazy beauty and that delicate color could easily arouse the desire of the opposite sex. The European version of salami reminded Xia Lei of the Hun version of salami. I wonder if she's doing well now? If the United States didn't control that land, he would like to see her. But considering the risk factors, he had to give up this idea. Hopefully, Charami could understand. Putting aside some tempting fantasies and the part about Charami, Charlotte's gaze moved from Sylvia's buttocks to her laptop. Then he saw what Sylvia was typing. It was actually not a document, but an email. Mr. Markamine, I have settled down at the Thunder Horse Military Factory. Mr. Xia didn't make things difficult for me and Mr. Philip, and we had a pleasant conversation. Tomorrow I will start my work, and I expect to get something. I haven't seen the Thunder Horse Military Factory's Hellhound cannon yet, and I hope to see it tomorrow. You asked me to send you an email every day to report on my work. This is the first email, but I still ask you to consider this decision because I don't know what to write when I don't have a job. Well, that's all for today. Good morning, Mr. Markamine. Evening in China, morning in Germany. There was nothing improper in Sylvia's good morning to Markamine. Charlotte's heart moved. At this time, Markamine might be sitting at his desk, waiting for Sylvia's email. Maybe he will reply and instruct Sylvia to do something. Sylvia yawned and stretched. Her soft and slender waist was slightly bent backward like a willow twig, and a little bit of golden armpit hair was exposed under her lotus-like arms. It was those naughty hairs that made her look even more sexy and enchanting. A mosquito suddenly landed on her butt and bit her without hesitation. What? Sylvia turned around abruptly, saw the mosquito, and slapped it. With a crisp sound, the mosquito died on the snow-white hill. The little bit of blood she had just sucked into her stomach was also squeezed out, staining her delicate snow-white skin red. The snow-white mound stopped trembling. Sylvia wiped off the bloodstains on her snow-white skin and scratched it. With this scratch, the rope-like fabric shifted a little to the side, revealing a secret scene that could make one spit out blood. Damn! Charlotte sighed in his heart. He didn't know if he should continue to spy on her. It's swollen. Oh my God, are China's mosquitoes all so fierce? Sylvia continued to scratch. A red mark was left on the snow-white round hill, and the cloth rope had also deviated from its original position. It didn't look like it anymore. Charlotte didn't have a nosebleed, but the fabric of his pants suddenly tightened and propped up a lot. Ding dong. A crisp notification came from Sylvia's laptop. Charlotte's gaze moved to the top left corner of the screen. Sure enough, Sylvia's mailbox received a new email. So fast. Really? Is he more anxious than the groom? Sylvia grumbled and finally stopped scratching her butt. She moved the mouse and opened the new email. The new email was indeed from Markamine. Miss Sylvia, I've read your email. I stand by my decision. Send me an email every day and report on your work. In addition, the Hellhound cannon from Thunder Horse Military Factory hasn't been sold in the international market yet, but according to our intelligence, it's excellent and may pose a threat to our cannon products. You must get close to it and get first-hand information. You're not a special agent, nor a spy. It's a bit difficult for you to do this, but our special agents and spies have no way of getting close to Charlotte and the Hellhound Cannon. You must complete the mission no matter what. My personal advice to you is that Charlotte likes beautiful women. That's one of his weaknesses. Do you understand what I mean? Think about what you're facing now. You're the one who destroyed our Thunder Dragon AI machine tool. If you want to be fine, you have to do something. That's it. I wish you success. Sylvia deleted the email and spaced out for a while. Suddenly, she spat at the monitor. You filthy pig. Sylvia, am not a prostitute. And I'm not a prostitute that you can manipulate. After venting for a while, she suddenly turned around and threw herself on the bed, covering her head with a pillow. Her perky but was exposed to the air without any cover. The mosquito bites were red, and the crooked fabric was useless. The mature secret place seemed to be whispering about the tragic experience of the mosquito and the boring words about the strong wind and strong light outside. Charlotte withdrew his gaze. A charcoal fire was quietly burning in his lower abdomen, but his heart was heavy. Back in Germany, he created Sylvia's human skin mask, sneaked into Rainmetal's enclosed workshop, destroyed the Thunder Dragon AI machine tool that was about to be completed, and destroyed the production line of the XL 2500 sniper rifle and Gale assault rifle. Sylvia had taken the blame for him. He left, but Sylvia undoubtedly faced the investigation of the German intelligence department, as well as the internal investigation of Rainmetal. Now that Sylvia was here, she was burdened with the mission of being a commercial spy for Rainmetal, and perhaps there were some orders from the German intelligence department. However, even though he knew that her identity was no longer just a mechanic, Charlotte couldn't hate her. On the contrary, he felt a faint sense of guilt. I'm sorry, Sylvia. I didn't mean to hurt you. I didn't have a choice at that time. Now that you're here, I won't let you complete your mission, Charlotte said softly in his heart. For the rest of the night, he thought a lot and only went to bed very late. The next morning, Charlotte called Tang Tianlong and Sherboren and proposed to meet at 101 innings. He told Tang Tianlong that he would propose his terms in 3 days because he needed time to find his father, Xia Changhe. Now that his father, Xia Changhe, had been found, he didn't need to wait 2 days to propose. After the call, Charlotte went out and saw Sylvia standing at the door of her room. She had changed into a summer work outfit from Rainmetal, a blue short-sleeve shirt, blue elastic trousers, and a pair of leatherwork shoes. Although she was dressed like that, it still couldn't hide her full and tight curves. She had the sexiness of a blue-collar woman. She seemed to be waiting for him. As soon as she saw him coming out, she greeted him. Mr. Xia, are you free today? Sylvia smiled. Charlotte said casually, What's the matter? Sylvia said fawningly, I want to go to your company to take a look. I'm not familiar with the environment. So, can you accompany me? Charlotte said, Sorry, I have something important to deal with today. However, before Charlotte could finish his words, Sylvia suddenly reached out and held Charlotte's arm. She was shorter than Charlotte. When she held his arm, Charlotte's arm was immediately embedded between her breasts and was immediately clamped by a soft and warm place. Not only that, she also gently shook Charlotte's arm like a spoiled little girl. Mr. Xia, please help me. Just take me for a walk. It won't take much of your time. Her shaking made Charlotte both embarrassed and secretly happy. The fabric of his trousers also became tense, but his attitude showed no signs of loosening. Next time, Miss Sylvia. I'm leaving soon. Mr. Xia, Sylvia refused to let go of Charlotte's arm. Last night, Mark-Amin had given her an order and hinted that she would sacrifice her body to complete the task. This morning, she put it into action. However, Charlotte was no longer the man whose legs would go soft at the sight of a beautiful woman. Ahem. A woman's cough came from behind. Sylvia then let go of Charlotte's arm. She turned around and saw Yelena standing at the door of another room. Yelena said, Chairman Xia, go do your thing. Leave her to me. Xiaolei nodded, grabbed his briefcase, and slipped away. Excuse me, what did you say? Sylvia looked at Yelena and asked in English. She couldn't understand Yelena's added Chinese. Yelena walked towards Sylvia and stopped 2 steps away. Sylvia shrugged. Don't you speak English? Yelena suddenly spread her legs and lifted her short skirt. Her snow-white thighs were completely exposed to the air, and there was even a piece of black silk underwear underneath. However, none of that was what Yelena wanted to show Sylvia. What she wanted to show Sylvia was an armed belt on her inner thigh, as well as an extremely sharp saber that was inserted into the belt. A woman's legs, black underwear, and a sharp military knife. It was a strange scene. Sylvia suddenly became nervous. She was inexplicably scared of Yelena. Yelena suddenly hooked Sylvia's chin and said coldly in English, "I hate Germans the most. You'd better behave yourself and stay away from him. Don't try to steal his technology, otherwise." Yelena let go of Sylvia's chin, but her palm gently swept across Sylvia's neck. Sylvia froze on the spot. What kind of secretary was this? Yelena brushed past her and didn't even look at Sylvia. Sylvia didn't move for a long time. A layer of mist quietly appeared in her azure eyes. Chapter 659. There were 3 people in Sherborne's office. In addition to Sherborne and Tang Tianlong, there was also an old man. It was a very strange old man. He was thin and gave people a feeling of weakness. However, his eyes were like the eyes of an eagle. They were sharp and powerful, making people not dare to offend him. When he first saw this old man, Charlotte suddenly had a feeling that he had seen this old man before. This feeling was very strange, but he had forgotten where and when he had seen this old man. Without waiting for him to recall, Tang Tianlong stood up and greeted him with a friendly smile on his face. "Hee, Charlotte, I rushed over after receiving your call. I didn't even have breakfast. You don't know how anxious I was," Charlotte said with a smile. "Uncle Tang, didn't you even eat breakfast? That's really my fault. I should have called you later. Don't mention breakfast. Sit down." Sherborne was also an impatient person. Charlotte sat down and shifted his gaze to the old man. He asked tentatively, "May I know who this is?" Tang Tianlong and Sherborne looked at each other, but neither of them introduced each other. The old man said lightly, "My surname is Zhong, and my name is Wu Kuei." Charlotte wasn't very interested in this strange name. What interested him was the reactions of Sherborne and Tang Tianlong. The two of them clearly knew the identity of this old man, but no one introduced him. Why was that? "Mr. Xia, heroes come from young. I'm deeply grateful that our country can produce a genius like you." Zhong Wu Kuei praised Charlotte, but even if he was praising someone, he didn't have the slightest smile on his face. At this moment, a dynamic picture suddenly appeared in Charlotte's mind. That was the new generation core workshop of the Thunder Horse Army Factory, which was also the core workshop where the second generation of the Thunder Dragon Intelligent Machine tool was located. Everyone in the workshop appeared in his mind. Some faces were familiar, and some were unfamiliar. Some were talking, some were visiting, and some were peeking at women. A few seconds later, a face suddenly froze in Charlotte's mind. It was the old man in front of him, Zhong Wu Kuei. He actually went to visit my second-generation Thunder Dragon Intelligent Machine tool. Who is he? Charlotte's brain moved again, and all the pictures were deduced. This was a very strange process. It was like playing back a high-definition video on a computer. Everyone's movements were retreating, be it the sound of their voices or the movement of their footsteps. Without exception, not a single one was overlooked. Soon, the playback returned to normal. In Charlotte's mind, Fan and Ling Hao were talking about something. Zhong and Wu Kuei appeared in front of the two of them. He glanced at the two of them, and they immediately shut their mouths. Xiaolei noticed that both Fan and Ling Hao had a look of reverence on their faces. Neither of them dared to look at Wu Kuei's face. Is he the director of the Xian Bureau? This thought flashed in Charlotte's mind, and he became nervous. He didn't expect Zhong Wu Kuei to participate in this negotiation. In his plan, he only needed to talk to Sherborne and Tang Tianlong, and then put forward the conditions. He had never expected that Wu Kuei would participate in this negotiation. In his plan, he only needed to talk to Sherborne and Tang Tianlong, and then lay out his conditions. But now, if this Zhong Wu Kuei was really the director of the Xian Bureau, his participation in this negotiation would add a little uncertainty to this negotiation. Whether it was the replay of the memory or the judgment of identity, it was all over in the blink of an eye. Although Charlotte was nervous, he smiled and said politely, "Mr. Zhongzheng, you flatter me. It is my honor to serve the country." Be it the replaying of his memories or his thoughts about his identity, it all ended in the blink of an eye. Although Xia Lei was nervous, he put on a smile and said politely, "Old Mr. Zhongzheng, you flatter me. It's my honor to serve the country." Whether it was the replay of the memory or the judgment of identity, it was all over in the blink of an eye. Although Charlotte was nervous, he smiled and said politely, "Mr. Zhongzheng, you flatter me. It is my honor to serve the country." "Charlotte, isn't your father missing?" Sherborne said. Charlotte said, "Missing doesn't mean he's dead. He can come back if he's missing. I had always held on to the hope that one day I would be able to meet my father. If anyone is willing to fulfill this wish for me, I am willing to do anything for him." "Well," Tang Tianlong coughed. "Let's talk about business. Let's talk about family matters at noon, okay?" Sherborne smiled. Yes. Let's talk business." Zhongzheng Wu Kuei's eyes were on Charlotte the whole time, not moving away for a second. Just now, when Charlotte mentioned his father, the corners of his mouth moved slightly, as if he wanted to say something, but he didn't say it in the end. "Then I won't talk nonsense. What request does Charlotte have? Tell me now." Tang Tianlong really didn't talk nonsense and brought the matter to the point. Charlotte was silent for a moment. Then he smiled again. "I'd better listen to the contents of this transaction first. Uncle Tang, you didn't say it very clearly on the phone last time. I want to understand such an important matter first." Tang Tianlong smiled bitterly. "Charlotte, didn't I say it clearly last time?" Xia Lei appeared to be very patient. "Let me understand it clearly first." "Okay, then I'll explain it to you in detail," Tang Tianlong said. "The German government was silent for a period of time after you left. I won't go into the specific reason. You know very well that it was the bitter wine they brewed themselves." Charlotte nodded. "But they won't give up. We also predicted that they would take the initiative to contact us. Sure enough, they sent a special envoy to negotiate with us a week ago. The result of the negotiation was that they used the submarine technology to exchange for your technology, including a Thunder Dragon smart machine tool." Charlotte said, "I remember you said last time that our technical personnel came to our factory for a visit in a Thunder Dragon smart machine tool. How did it become my technology again? You must have remembered wrongly. I said technology exchange. This exchange includes some technology transfer." Tang Tianlong's face was slightly awkward. He really was an official with two mouths, speaking politely and verbally speaking politely. "What kind of technology?" Charlotte asked. "Well, it's mainly the technology of the Thunder Dragon smart machine tool. You know, what they care about the most is the technology of your smart machine tool. This time, they clearly asked for a full set of blueprints, electrical engineering, and control programs. Of course, the production technology of the XL 2500 sniper rifle and the Gale assault rifle is also included. They also want all the technology and can't hold anything back." Charlotte's mouth revealed a hint of a sneer. "They really want a lot. I think they actually made a request for my Lei Long intelligent machine tool, second generation, right?" Tang Tianlong was slightly stunned and then said, "Yes, they asked, but we refused. We clearly told them that the technology of the Thunder Dragon smart machine tool will not be transferred. It is now a flagpole for our manufacturing industry. There is no reason to sell the flagpole. Whether it was a flagpole or any other pole, it was created by Charlotte. Now that these things were being sold, he couldn't make the decision." "Then did they mention the technology of the Hellhound cannon?" Charlotte asked. Tang Tianlong smiled bitterly. "You're really a roundworm in the stomach of the Germans. Well, their appetite is really big. They did mention our Hellhound cannon technology, but we didn't agree. They came to beg us, not the other way around." At this time, Wu Kuei said, "Mr. Xia, I know that some technology is very important to your military factories. You have to know that if they have the submarine technology, it will be more important and valuable to us. So this deal is very good for us. I hope you can look at the big picture and fulfill this good thing. The person in charge finally spoke. He might have lost his patience, or he might be dissatisfied with Charlotte's attitude. Charlotte smiled. Mr. Zongjing, of course I agree with this deal. Just like last time, didn't I also exchange the engine technology of the Typhoon for our country? If that's the case, then it's easy. Wu Kuei stared at Charlotte. I heard that you have a request, or rather, a condition. Tell me, I want to hear it. After going around in a big circle, things still had to go back to square one. Charlotte could actually say it out loud when Tang Tianlong asked the question, but he didn't do so. He also deliberately went around this circle. He had to wear down these people's patience. He wanted them to know that he was not the obedient baby they thought he was. He also had his own thoughts. Say it. You're usually very straightforward. Why are you so hesitant now? Sherboran's voice was very loud. Have you taken a fancy to a girl? It's okay, don't be shy. Just say it, and I'll be the matchmaker for you. Is it my goddaughter? Tang Tianlong stared at Sherboran awkwardly. He was still her biological father. So when did it become up to Sherboran to decide on Tang Yuyin's marriage? Charlotte just smiled. If he wanted to marry Tang Yuyin, why would he need Sherboran to be the matchmaker? He only needed a phone call to ask Tang Yuyin out for dinner, a movie, a hotel room, and he could even save money on condoms. Wu Kuei, Tang Tianlong, and Sherboran urged him, but Charlotte still didn't seem to be in a hurry. He slowly opened his briefcase and took out a few documents and a big envelope. These things were taken out, but he held them tightly in his hands, not giving them to anyone. What is it? Sherboran asked. Charlotte didn't say, but said, I don't want fame, I don't want money, I only want a person. You really like a girl? Sherboran's expression was very funny. Tang Tianlong laughed inexplicably. Until then, Charlotte said, I want my father. Sherboran and Tang Tianlong were stunned. Only Wu Kuei remained calm, but a cold light flashed in his eyes. Chapter 660. Charlotte put the secret documents of the FA organization and the big envelope with the photos on the coffee table. Sherboran picked up the envelope, while Tang Tianlong, Wu Kuei, and Zongjing each picked up a document. Charlotte observed the expressions of the three people. At this time, he was more nervous than anyone else. Whether his father Xia Changhe could return, live a normal life, and enjoy his old age, success or failure depended on this. He couldn't be careless. Sherboran, Tang Tianlong, and Wu Kuei exchanged the documents brought by Charlotte, and the three didn't say a word during the whole process. Their expressions were serious, and the office became dull and depressing because of them. After reading the last document, Sherboran looked at Charlotte and said, his eyes full of worry, You already knew, didn't you? Tang Tianlong just looked at Charlotte, expressionless and silent, as if he had a lot on his mind. Wu Kuei also looked at Charlotte with a cold expression and stern eyes. There was also a hint of anger in his eyes. Based on the reaction of the three people after reading the documents and photos, Charlotte's mind was already clear. Among the three people in front of him, if there was one who was willing to speak for him and help him, it would only be Sherboran. However, Sherboran obviously couldn't make the decision on this matter. Yes, I already knew. After a moment of silence, Charlotte admitted. Then why didn't you tell me earlier? Sherboran questioned. Charlotte smiled bitterly. How could I tell you? He is my father, the father who gave birth to me and raised me. I am a consultant of 101 innings. From this standpoint, I should arrest him. I am his son, and from this standpoint, I should protect him. I chose the latter, because if I betray my own father, am I, Charlotte, still human? Sherboran sighed and didn't speak. He seemed to be able to understand Charlotte's way of handling things. At this moment, Wu Kuei suddenly smashed a document in his hand on the coffee table and said angrily, Charlotte, how dare you? Charlotte was startled by him, but he quickly calmed down and said lightly, I'm indeed very courageous. Old Mr. Zongjing, I only have one condition. I want a pardon to ensure that my father is fine. You still dare to speak? Wu Kuei's anger intensified. A country has its laws. Since ancient times, when a prince breaks the law, the commoners are punished the same way. You have made a lot of contributions to the country, and you are indeed a rare talent. But how can you use your achievements and talent to ask your father from the national team to show mercy outside the law? Don't you know that your father committed treason? Not to mention, he killed a lot of people. Charlotte said, I know what he did. I won't defend him. I just want him to be fine. Stubborn. Stubborn. Wu Kuei slammed the coffee table. By doing this, what position do you have in the law? Since ancient times, there's been no lack of people who put righteousness before family. Don't you have a role model? Charlotte's eyes turned cold, and his heart was burning with anger. However, he wasn't blinded by anger. He knew very well in his heart. He knew that Wu Kuei wasn't someone who didn't understand the importance of benefits, nor was he someone who didn't care about the big picture. From the perspective of the country, it was obviously more beneficial to fulfill his small request. Arresting his father, Xia Changhe, and punishing his father for his crimes was considered the dignity of the law. However, without the submarine technology, he could even change Rema Group to manufacturing slippers and socks, and get Lema Army to manufacture bicycles. However, Wu Kuei clearly knew the consequences of this matter. Why was he still so stubborn and unwilling to let his father, Xia Changhe, go? Sherboran cleared his throat. Old Mr. Zongjing, I think this matter. Wu Kuei glanced at Sherboran, his eyes cold and sinister. Sherboran suddenly stopped talking. Charlotte, you can ask for fame. You can ask for money. Wu Kuei's tone was cold. I can't do anything about your father, but I can guarantee that he won't die. Where is he now? Are you going to arrest him? Charlotte suppressed the anger in his heart. Wu Kuei said, There are some things I need to ask him. Charlotte's heart suddenly moved, and he secretly said, This Wu Kuei is most likely the director of the Xian Bureau. Then his target is me, the secret of ancient alloy and AE. Compared to the secret of ancient alloy and E, Germany's submarine technology is obviously not enough. What he wants is greater benefits. He wants my father, and he obviously wants to use my father as a breakthrough point. You can also ask for a position. Wu Kuei added, I can guarantee you that within the entire country, you can choose any provincial or city-level job you want. With your talent and the political capital you have now, your future is limitless. Charlotte was silent. Wu Kuei continued to persuade. Your father's matter is not your fault. Don't ordinary families also have parents who report crimes to the police and arrest their sons? Aren't there also children who report parents who break the law? The law is the law. If everyone disregards the law, then wouldn't the world be in chaos? Tang Qianlong's lips moved. Charlotte, think about it. Charlotte suddenly laughed. So it's not possible? Wu Kuei's face turned cold. I have said so much, and you still don't understand what I mean? Motherf asterisk her. Xia Lei suddenly cursed. What did you say? Wu Kuei stood up. A commoner dared to look down on him. Charlotte suddenly slammed the coffee table and stood up as well. He glared at Wu Kuei and said angrily, I said, fuck you. Wu Kuei pointed at Charlotte's nose and was so angry that he couldn't say a word. Tang Tianlong and Sherboran were shocked by Charlotte's actions. Charlotte sneered. I risked my life for the country. I risked my life and went to Germany to learn technology. I risked my life to carry out missions in Afghanistan, Japan, Korea, and Jerusalem. When I was licking my wounds in a rain of bullets, what were you doing? Drinking tea or reading the newspaper? Or practicing Tai Chi in the park? You want to use my technology to exchange for Germany's technology, and you expect me to betray my father? Fuck, are you still human? How can you be like this? Wu Kuei's face turned red and green. All right, who are you? Charlotte looked into Wu Kuei's eyes. What's your identity? I am. Wu Kuei was trembling with anger, but he didn't say it. You won't tell me? All right, then tell me. Are you in charge of this matter? So what if I am? So what if I'm not? Wu Kuei's eyes were terrifyingly cold. Charlotte sneered. It's simple. If you're not in charge, why would I waste my time talking to you? If you're in charge, then it's easy. The negotiations will collapse. Collapse? What do you want? I won't sell my technology to anyone. Rima Group won't produce any more weapons. I will switch to producing socks and shirts. Charlotte said. Charlotte, don't forget, you still owe the bank more than 20 billion. You will switch to producing socks and shirts? How are you going to repay the loan? Wu Kuei said coldly. Xiaolei shrugged and said with a smile, a loan of more than 20 billion? It's just RMB. I only need to build a factory in UAE or another country to produce socks, and they will help me repay the loan. Or I only need to build a Lei Long AI machine tool, and there will be people willing to repay the loan. To me, money is not a problem at all. As long as I want money, there will be people in this world who can't wait to give it to me. This was the truth. With his ability, as long as he moved the socks production factory overseas, there would be no country that wouldn't be willing to provide him funds. This wasn't even the simplest part. If he was willing to sell his Lei Long AI machine tool, there would be financial groups willing to help him repay the loan in exchange for the world's most advanced AI machine tool. In other words, he was a human-shaped treasure. His brain and his hands were immeasurable wealth. He could destroy everything he had built at any time and rise up in a different place. What could you use to threaten such a person? And Sherborne coughed. Charlotte, speak properly. Don't be so rash. Tang Tianlong then said, that's right, Xiaolei, the sect master is getting on in years. You have to watch your words. We'd better sit down and talk about it. We got to get somewhere, haven't we? Wu Kuei and Zhong Zheng sat down, but Xiaolei was still standing upright. Continue, Charlotte said. Sure, but I want to ask, which one of you is in charge? Sherborne and Tang Tianlong's gazes shifted to Wu Kuei at the same time. Wu Kuei didn't say anything. Charlotte laughed. No one is in charge. What's there to talk about if you're not in charge? I still have things to do. You guys take your time. Don't look for me in the future. We don't have a date. I don't believe that we can't find a place in this world that can accommodate us, father and son. Kid, you... Sherborne was anxious. Charlotte couldn't be bothered to say anything more. He kept the documents and envelopes on the table, put them into his briefcase, and turned to leave. It's me. Wu Kuei finally admitted. You really can't change this request. Charlotte said, this is my only request, and I won't change it. I want a pardon order signed by the highest leader. My father won't be prosecuted, and he won't be investigated by anyone. You guys can't send anyone to spy on him. Give me what I want, and I'll give you what you want. Can I sign it? No, I don't believe you. Okay, deal. Someone will send the pardon order to you tomorrow. You're on your own. Although Wu Kuei agreed, his tone was cold. Charlotte said indifferently, I have a clear conscience when I do things. I have to face the country and people, and I have to face my conscience. A person like me, God will protect me. So, you don't need to remind me. Well said. Goodbye, Mr. Xia. Wu Kuei got up and walked out of Sherborne's office. After Wu Kuei left, Sherborne said, Kid, were you born the year of the ox in your previous life? How can you be angry at him? Charlotte said, Who is this old man? He's so old, yet he still hasn't retired? Sherborne was speechless. Tang Tianlong sighed. Charlotte, although it's a deal, you've also offended him. Later on, find a chance to apologize. Okay. Although he agreed, Charlotte would never apologize to Wu Kuei. Then I'll go first. I still have to report. Tang Tianlong also left. Only Sherborne and Charlotte were left in the office. After hesitating for a moment, Sherborne still came to Charlotte's side. Wu Kuei is the director of the Xian Bureau. All the things against you came from there. Now that you've offended Wu Kuei, you have to be careful. Charlotte showed a smile. Thank you, Boss Sure. Although he had already guessed Wu Kuei's identity, such words coming from Sherborne's mouth had a different meaning for him. Chapter 661. The negotiation was successful, and he got what he wanted. Charlotte should be happy, but his heart was heavy. He used all the capital in his hands to force Wu Kuei to lower his high and mighty head. If the success of this negotiation was compared to a victory, it was a Pyrrhic victory. The way Wu Kuei looked at him when he left made him feel a chill. That look seemed to be a signal that he had become an enemy. If the previous actions of the Xian Bureau against him were all fortifications, and Wu Kuei was also doing business, then the following actions of the Xian Bureau were probably mixed with personal grudges. Walking out of the 101 floors office building, the sun shone down on his face, making him feel warm. Who cares? As long as I don't do anything illegal, I'm upright. No matter how powerful he is, what can he do to me? With my value, with the value of the Thunder Horse military factory, he can't openly deal with me. As long as I help Fan take the position of the Xian Bureau director, I can solve the Xian Bureau's problems. If he goes down from his current position, he's nothing to me. Thinking of this, Charlotte sneered. After getting in the car, he took out his phone and dialed a number. A few seconds later, the call was connected. It's strange, you actually took the initiative to call me. What's the matter? This was Fan's voice. Where are you? My grandpa's here. What's the matter? Let's talk. Is it convenient for me to come over now? It won't be convenient for me in a few days. It's convenient for you to come over now. Charlotte, a red BMW M6, suddenly drove into the parking lot and stopped next to Charlotte's Chevrolet Suburban off-road van. Charlotte recognized this car. It was the first car he bought for Liang Xiao. The two rolled down the windows almost at the same time. When did you find it? Charlotte asked casually. The car reminded him of the past. Liang Xiao grinned. It's in my hometown. I asked someone to drive it to a 4S shop for maintenance and then drove it back to me. It's very important to me. My boyfriend gave it to me. Do you think it's beautiful? Charlotte also smiled, but there was a hint of sadness in his heart. Liang Xiao suddenly leaned in front of the car window and lowered her voice. According to the intelligence from Europe, Gu Qian flew from Japan to Korea at 8 o'clock last night, along with the elite CIB field agents. The field agents of the CIB were not intelligence agents, but agents who carried out arrests and assassinations. Gu Qian flew from Japan to Korea with the CIB's elite field agents. It was obvious that he was about to take action. Charlotte raised his head to look at the sky. The sky was clear, but he felt as if dark clouds were looming over him, as if a storm was brewing. You have to be careful. Her target is you. Liang Xiao's eyes were full of worry. Charlotte nodded. I know. I have to report this to Boss Sure. Let's talk about it later. Liang Xiao turned around and left. Wait, is there anything else? Liang Xiao turned back to look at Charlotte with a smile on her lips. It was beautiful. Well, thank you, Charlotte said. Liang Xiao smiled. You know that's not what I want. No matter what I do for you, you don't have to thank me. Charlotte smiled. Let's go. I have to go too. Charlotte drove away. Liang Xiao watched the Chevrolet Suburban leave. Charlotte looked at her in the rearview mirror. The distance was getting longer and longer, but there were some things that just couldn't cut. An hour later, Charlotte's Chevrolet Suburban appeared in the parking lot of the Academy of Science. He got out of the car with a big bag of gifts in his hand. If it wasn't for these gifts, he would have arrived at the Academy of Science earlier. Some of these gifts were for Fan, and some were for Fan Yiming. He rarely tried to please someone. Now, he had to make a change. In front of the building's lobby, Fan leaned against a marble pillar. She smiled at Charlotte, who was walking towards her. She teased, "Why are you still buying gifts? Don't tell me you haven't woken up yet, and your brain is still muddled? Buying gifts for you means you haven't woken up yet, and your brain is muddled? Since you said so, I won't send you off. Wait for me. I'll put the things in the car first." Charlotte turned around to leave. However, Fan took a step forward and snatched the bag of gift from Charlotte's hands. She scolded, "How can there be people like you who buy gifts and then take them back? You are a billionaire. How can you be so stingy? You must be the most stingy billionaire in the world." Charlotte shrugged. "You have said everything, so I won't say any more." Fan looked at the gifts and smiled. "There are also tea leaves and purple clay cups. Are these for my grandfather?" "Yes. I didn't know your taste for tea, so I bought some of each," Charlotte said. Fan glanced at Charlotte. "You want to please him. What is your purpose? Charlotte smiled. Isn't it obvious? I want to hook up with his granddaughter. Then he moved closer to Fawn's snow-white earlobe. He breathed out hot air and said, Do you want to hook up with her? The teasing words, the evil smile, and the hot air that blew into her ear. All these factors mixed together and happened in an instant. Fawn's body suddenly trembled, and a moan came from her throat. Charlotte was surprised. You can't be. Fan bit her lips and stared at Charlotte with a red face. She didn't say a word. It wasn't that she didn't want to say it. It was just that she couldn't bring herself to say such embarrassing things. Well, let's go see Elder Fan. Then we can find a place to have a good chat. Charlotte said. The evil smile on his face became even more obvious. What do you want to talk about? Whatever you want to talk about. Charlotte winked at Fan. You become bad. Don't women like bad boys? If I were a well-behaved and honest farmer, would you like me? Would you want to give birth to my children? I don't want to. Fan said. She was sure that if Charlotte really was a farmer, even if he was as good-looking as he was now, she wouldn't even look at him. Not to mention going to bed with him and giving birth to his children. For a woman to attract a man, it was very simple. As long as she was beautiful and sexy, that was enough. But for a man to attract a woman, it was very difficult. Wealth, social status, and the ability to earn money were the most important. Appearance was secondary. Sometimes, appearance could even be ignored. As long as you had money, that was enough. If Charlotte didn't have his current achievements, social status, and IQ of 998, then he wouldn't have been able to attract a woman like Fan. In the principal's office, Charlotte saw Fan Yiming. Without waiting for Charlotte to speak, Fan stuffed a big bag of gifts into Fan Yiming's hands. Grandfather, Mr. Xia specially came to see you. He even bought you a big bag of gifts. Fan Yiming was overjoyed. Io, Mr. Xia, you really are considerate. You are too polite. Coming here is equivalent to coming to work. Why did you buy me a gift? It's nothing, just some tea leaves. I don't know if Mr. Fan would like it. Charlotte said politely. What do you mean by not like it? Even if you gave me a few bags of leaves, I would still be happy. Hee. Fan Yiming pulled Charlotte's hand. You came at the right time. Let's talk about the X-Secret Gold Project. I have an idea. Without waiting for Fan Yiming to finish, Fan squeezed in between the two men and pushed Charlotte out. What are you doing? Fan Yiming looked at his granddaughter in confusion. Fan turned around and smiled. Grandfather, I know what you are thinking. I will tell Mr. Xia. I also have an idea. I will tell him first. Fan Yiming had a strange expression on his face. Mr. Xia, you aren't here to see me, right? Of course, Mr. Fan. Before Charlotte could finish, Fan had already dragged Charlotte away. The office door slammed shut. Fan Yiming was still staring at the door. He didn't move at all. Charlotte followed Fan into her office. Once the office door was closed, Fan hugged Charlotte and kissed him on the lips. Because of her sensitive body, her body couldn't stop trembling. But she didn't let go. Her actions were like a moth flying into a flame. Even though she knew she would burn herself, she still wanted to do it. Charlotte didn't refuse. He came here to build a good relationship with Fan. There were many ways to build a good relationship with her. But if she preferred this method, then so be it. Panting, shaking, trembling, all kinds of chaos. A perfectly good office was wrecked. Folders fell to the ground. Cups of water also fell to the ground. Only one piece of clothing was missing from Fan's body. It was a piece of silk fabric that no one could see. Somehow, it had flown to the water dispenser's bucket. When everything stopped, it was already half an hour later. You didn't turn on the air conditioner? Charlotte wiped the sweat from his forehead and said while panting, It broke long ago. I didn't know you liked to do this kind of thing in the office. Otherwise, I would have called the repairman to fix it. Fan was also panting. Her skin was almost completely red. Xiaolei was also very straightforward. He slapped his palm on her full moon. A crisp sound rang out. Her delicate skin rippled. What are you doing? Fan rolled her eyes at Charlotte. Her eyes were full of coquettishness. As a core member of the ZN Bureau, Charlotte didn't know whether Fan had received training to please men. He didn't know whether her feelings were real or fake, but he didn't care. whether it was real or fake, as long as she was happy. I saw your director. Charlotte changed the topic. You? Fanfan wanted to say something, but stopped. Charlotte smiled. I'm not here to mess with you. I'm telling the truth. I just came from 101 innings. The old man was thin and had very special eyes, a bit like an eagle's. His name is Zhong Wu Kuei. Am I right? Fanfan was silent for a moment before saying, It's him. I only know that he wants to see you, but I don't know why. I went through a negotiation with him. Charlotte looked at her. You don't know what the negotiation was? I don't know. Even Ling, how does it know? Charlotte said. What do you mean? Charlotte smiled. I don't need to sow discord between you and Ling Hao, do I? I came with the greatest sincerity today. If you even doubt my motives, then there's no need for us to talk anymore. Fanfan suddenly stretched out her mouth and bit Charlotte's arm. Charlotte frowned. Are you a dog? Fanfan raised her head and licked her lips with her delicate lilac tongue. Her eyes were full of provocation and dissatisfaction. Why didn't you ask me for my motives when you were playing tricks on me? Now that you're full, you're asking me for my motives? None of you men are good. Charlotte laughed. Tell me, what did you negotiate with him about? Only then did Charlotte continue. Chapter 662. Charlotte told Fanfan everything that had happened during the negotiation. After Charlotte finished, Fanfan was silent for at least a minute before she spoke. Your father is a freelance agent of the FA organization? Fanfan wanted to say something, but hesitated. Charlotte just looked at Fanfan quietly and didn't say anything. He knew what to say and what not to say. Did you know this before? Fanfan asked again. Obviously, this was not the only question she wanted to ask, but she chose to bury the other questions in her heart. I know a little, but I'm sure it happened in the past few days. No matter what, he is still my father. How can I not help him when he is in trouble? Speaking of this, Charlotte asked again, do you support me? Fanfan smiled. In the future, when I have your child, he will be my child's grandfather. Do you think I should support you? Charlotte's hand slid down to Fanfan's lower abdomen and gently stroked the delicate baby-like place. If it's a son, I'll call him Xiaofan. If it's a daughter, I'll call her. Well, it's still Xiaofan. I'm going to faint. What kind of father are you? You give your son and daughter the same name. Can you be any lazier? Fanfan rolled her eyes at Charlotte. I don't dare to count on you for this. I've already thought of the names. The boy will be called Xia Bufan, and the girl will be called Xia Sifan. Does it sound good? It was still Xiaofan, but after adding a word, whether it was a boy's name or a girl's name, it felt different. Xia Bufan, the boy's name sounds good, Charlotte said with a smile. But if the girl's name is Xia Sifan, wouldn't she be a fairy? Only fairies would be as beautiful as a fairy. Yes, our daughter will be as beautiful as a fairy. Fanfan said proudly. Whether it's a boy or a girl, I hope they will inherit my beauty gene and your IQ gene. Our child will be the most outstanding child in the world. Charlotte, on the other hand, was thinking about his antidote. Fanfan did not use the antidote she had developed during the passionate exercise just now. It was not difficult to see that she had not developed the right antidote. This was not surprising. Although she was the best bioengineer in the country, the speed of her experiments could not be as fast as his brain could do simulation experiments. But for the sake of safety, the next time he was alone with her, he had to bring some antidote with him. Lei, what do you say? Of course, but you'd better have a pair of twins. Wouldn't it be a pity if you couldn't even use one of them? Ha ha ha. Fanfan laughed happily. Even her body seemed to have become softer. In Charlotte's arms, she was like a boneless jelly. Let's talk about you. Charlotte once again cut to the chase. About me? Yes, Charlotte said. For my father, I have fallen out with Wu Kuei. He is a person who regards his face as more important than anything else. I can't guarantee that he won't retaliate against me. I don't want to wait for trouble to suddenly come and only fight back when it hurts. I don't want to be so passive. I have to do something. Fanfan suddenly became nervous. What do you want to do? He is not someone you can casually touch. I haven't lost my mind. What I said is to fight back through you. Me? What can I do for you? You go and be the director of the ZN Bureau. If you become the director, I will have less trouble. Tell me, how can I get rid of him? How can I send you to the position of the director of the ZN Bureau? You came here for this. Don't you want to be the director of the ZN Bureau? If I didn't want to, I wouldn't have done it. I still regret it, but it's useless to think about it. The talent selection and promotion of the ZN Bureau have their own rules. It's different from what you think. What kind of rules? This was the first time Charlotte heard Fan talk about the inside story of the ZN Bureau, and his heart was full of curiosity. In the ZN Bureau, if a person wants to climb up, he must have achievements. In addition to achievements, wisdom is essential. Wisdom? Yes, wisdom. Fan said, the ZN Bureau is the Brain Bureau. You know this. The meaning of its existence is to give advice to the higher-ups and solve some difficult problems. Difficult problems? What kind of problems are they specifically? Many aspects, the international situation, trade confrontation, technological development, etc. Otherwise, why do you think someone like me is in the ZN Bureau? Fan said, don't think that Ling Hao is just an official who is good at scheming. He is very good at analyzing and dealing with international disputes. Many of his plans have been adopted. Compared to his achievements, I am much weaker in this aspect. So when he schemed against you last time, I was also anxious. Because if he takes over your Thunderhorse military factory, he will definitely become the director of the ZN Bureau, and I will have no chance. If your achievements are better than his, what will happen? Fan said, how good do you want to be? If it's just a little bit, I can't threaten him. If I do a good job, I have a high chance of winning the position of director. After all, I also have my advantage, which is my grandfather. He is the Dean of the Academy of Sciences. Just tell me, what do I need to do to help you win the position of director? Fan smiled bitterly. I am best at bioengineering, and you are best at mechanical manufacturing. What can the two of us do together? What I am most looking forward to is conquering the X-Secret Gold Project. In this way, I will have made a great contribution. This result is enough for me to sit in the position of director of the ZN Bureau. However, the X-Secret Gold Project has stagnated, and I have almost lost confidence. Do you think you can help me conquer the X-Secret Gold Project? Is there anything else besides the X-Secret Gold Project? Charlotte said, don't think about whether I can do it or not. Just tell me. Fan thought for a moment. South Korea has been making a lot of moves recently, and the negotiated free trade zone is also being questioned. The Americans are playing the role of a sh*T stick, and we can't do anything about it. If I can come up with a plan that can solve the problem, my results will be much better. Charlotte suddenly thought of Xiaoxian's father, Jian. He still had evidence against Jian. It's useless to think about it. Ling Hao has already submitted 3 plans, but none of them have been used. Neither of us are good at politics. What can we do to solve this difficult problem? Don't think about it. Go talk to my grandfather. He wants to conquer the X-Secret Gold Project from the perspective of material science. Try to persuade him. His desire to personally touch the ancient alloy is getting stronger and stronger. I can't persuade him no matter what. Fan climbed out of Charlotte's arms. She walked to the water dispenser and took the white silk panties. She put them on with her back facing Charlotte. The white silk panties disappeared into the black skirt, but there seemed to be an afterimage of the full moon in the air. It was as white as snow and as tender as frost. It was too wonderful for words. After putting on the panties, Fan adjusted her skirt. She turned around and saw that Charlotte was still lying on the carpet in a daze. He looked like he was thinking about some difficult problem. You can't really want me to solve this difficult problem, right? Fan laughed. Don't think about it. It's useless. Let's think about how to conquer the X-Secret Gold Project. It's more practical. Charlotte suddenly said, the South Korean presidential election is in October, right? Yeah, there's still half a month before it starts. And Jian is one of the candidates, right? Charlotte asked. Yes, but his support isn't high. If nothing goes wrong, his competitor, Pu Shujin, will become the next South Korean president. This is a problem for us. Some of the policies she proposed are disadvantageous to us. How about this? Charlotte's lips curled into a smile. Can you avoid Sungjong and accept this mission? You really want me to accept this mission? Are you joking? I don't even understand Korean. How do you expect me to do it? You don't have to worry about that. You just need to avoid Sungjong and accept this mission. I'll do the rest for you. You? Fan Fan looked at Charlotte in disbelief. Charlotte climbed up from the ground. I'll tell you the truth. I have something on a Jinjian. I can make some kind of agreement with him. Fan Fan was stunned. Also, you don't just have to accept this mission. I want you to be responsible for the deal with Germany. I'll be responsible? Haven't we already discussed the deal with Germany? And as far as I know, Sungjong is prepared to let Ling Hao be responsible for this. By then, Ling Hao will be stationed at your Thunder Horse military factory. Charlotte snorted. It's obvious that Sungjong wants to give him a huge credit. But can he take responsibility just because he wants to? You've already made a deal with Sungjong. Are you still going to ruin his arrangements? You'll completely anger him. Even if you don't agree, it's useless. Ling Hao has Sungjong's support, and he's not easy to deal with. Will he be willing to let such a huge credit slip away? Charlotte smiled. I've indeed made a deal with Sungjong, and it's not good to interfere with him sending Ling Hao to be responsible. But this matter doesn't require me to do anything. The Germans will be able to do it. Don't forget, the Germans want my technology. If I make such a request, how can they not fulfill it? Fan Fan suddenly understood, and she also smiled. Indeed, Charlotte didn't need to personally confront Sungjong and Ling Hao. He only needed to talk to the Germans and play some tricks. The Germans would do as he said and please him. Why was the Germans dissatisfied with Ling Hao and wanted to change the person in charge? Would the higher-ups not agree? Solve the problem in Korea and get the submarine technology from the Germans. Are these 2 credits enough for you to be the director of the ZN Bureau? Of course. Fan Fan moved closer to Charlotte. Don't move. Charlotte, ? Fan Fan suddenly grabbed Charlotte's zipper and gently pulled it for him. You're going to see my grandfather. Do you want him to find out that you slept with his granddaughter? Charlotte was a little embarrassed. I'm talking business with you. Fan Fan pursed her lips and smiled. Yes, Your Highness. I'll give you a satisfactory explanation tomorrow. Charlotte. Chapter 663. The next day, Fan Fan hadn't come yet, but Ling Hao came with his assistant, Song Baiqing. In Charlotte's office. Charlotte, I'm here under orders. Ling Hao went straight to the point and said, I'm responsible for the technical exchange between the Thunder Horse military factory and Germany. I hope you can support my work. Charlotte took a sip of the tea Qing Kaiwa made for him and said with a smile, No problem. You and I are brothers. If I don't support you, who should I support? Well, that's good. Ling Hao looked a little embarrassed. Well, don't take what happened last time to heart. I admit that I did something wrong. It's my fault. There are times when people don't make mistakes. But I promise you, I will never make such a mistake again. Brother Ling, what are you talking about? I forgot. Charlotte said. Ling Hao was stunned for a moment, then laughed and said, It's good that you forgot. I have to stay here for a while. Where can you arrange for me? Charlotte said, There are VIP rooms in the office building for businessmen. You can stay here. You can also live in the villa. I live there with Raymetal Sylvia. Is it convenient for me to live in the villa? It's convenient. I'll arrange it now. Charlotte's mouth showed a hint of a smile that was hard to be found. Ling Hao didn't want to live in the guest room in the office building because the office building was full of surveillance cameras of the Thunder Horse military factory. If he lived in the villa, he could also contact Sylvia and monitor Charlotte. He had such an idea in his mind. Wasn't Charlotte the same? As long as Ling Hao lived by his side, Ling Hao had no secrets. Then I'll also live in the villa. Song Baiqing said. Charlotte said lightly, Forget it. There aren't that many rooms in the villa. You. Song Baiqing's face suddenly became hot. Charlotte said, I absolutely don't mean anything else. I hope Mr. Song can understand. Mr. Song, you can live in the guest room here. Song Baiqing wanted to say something, but Ling Hao glared at him, and he shut his mouth. He knew very well that there must be a room in the villa that could accommodate him. Charlotte's words were a deliberate slap to his face. Ling Hao felt a little uncomfortable because Song Baiqing was his man. As the saying goes, when you beat a dog, look at its master. Charlotte slapped Song Baiqing's face in front of him, which was equivalent to giving him a hard time. Ling Hao's eyes moved to Charlotte's face, and Charlotte's eyes also moved to Ling Hao's face. They looked at each other and smiled. It was a ball of amiable air, but underneath this amiable air hid a chill. Ling Hao and Song Baiqing settled down in the Thunder Horse military factory. Charlotte was too lazy to greet Ling Hao. After he arranged for Ling Hao to enter the villa, he walked to the defense system workshop of the Thunder Horse military factory. "Mr. Xiao, wait for me." Sylvia's voice came from behind. Charlotte stopped in his tracks and turned to look at the German female mechanic. He smiled and said in German, "Miss Sylvia, good morning. It's still early. I've been up for 3 hours." Sylvia said, "It's really troublesome not knowing Chinese. My translator will come from Germany in a few days. I'll have to trouble you to take care of me for the next few days." Charlotte said, "My secretary, Qin Kaiwei, also understands German. If you need anything when I'm not here, you can ask her for help." "Okay, thank you." Sylvia said, "Mr. Xia, are you going to the workshop? Can I go with you?" Her eyes were filled with desire. Charlotte knew her motives, but he did not refuse. He agreed very straightforwardly, "Follow me." The defense system workshop was busy. The defense system of the Thunder Horse military factory was already producing a type of reactive armor. This kind of reactive armor was an important part of war vehicles and tanks. Once attacked by anti-tank shells or missiles, this reactive armor would explode outwards to prevent tanks and war vehicles from being destroyed. It could ensure the survival rate of tanks and war vehicles on the battlefield, as well as the safety of personnel. As the first defense product of the Thunder Horse military factory, it would be used on the tanks and war vehicles produced by the Thunder Horse military factory. In fact, whether it was the artillery workshop or the defense system workshop, in Charlotte's plan, they were all to serve the tanks and war vehicles that the Thunder Horse military factory was about to put into production. After returning from Germany, Charlotte brought back the entire Rainmetal company into his brain. He knew all the products and technologies of Rainmetal. The things he brought back from Rainmetal were used in the Thunder Horse military factory, but they were not completely copied. He improved many places and added many of his own designs. Therefore, the current Thunder Horse military factory was actually an enhanced version of Rainmetal. It was just that the scale and production capacity could not be compared to Rainmetal. There were many Russian and Ukrainian technicians and even senior engineers in the defense workshop. They were all talents hired by the Thunder Horse military factory with a lot of money. It was impossible for Charlotte to do everything himself. He was only responsible for the highest-end parts and solving the difficult and miscellaneous diseases. The rest of the work was naturally done by his employees. Charlotte's appearance in the defense workshop immediately caused a small commotion. Many foreign technicians and senior engineers, as well as local workers, greeted Charlotte. Charlotte gestured for them to continue working, then took Sylvia to visit his defense system workshop. Sylvia was able to remain calm at first, but soon she could not remain calm. In the defense workshop of the Thunder Horse military factory, she saw the shadow of Rainmetal. But after a closer look, it was not the case because the design and machines here were obviously more advanced than those of Rainmetal. Ow, how is this possible? Sylvia finally could not hold back the shock and surprise in her heart and said, "Mr. Xia, your design here, your production line looks more advanced than our Rainmetal defense system workshop. There are many better improvements made in many places, but we haven't found the problem yet. Can I ask, who is the chief engineer in charge of the design of this workshop?" Xia Lei smiled. "It's so far away, it's so close." "What did you say?" Sylvia could not even understand Chinese, let alone the more esoteric idioms. Charlotte translated for her in German. "Oh my God, you are simply..." Sylvia's eyes shone with uncontrollable excitement. "You are simply like an omnipotent god. Not only can you process the most sophisticated parts in the world, but you also design the world's best sniper rifle, assault rifle, hellhound artillery. You also..." Charlotte interrupted her and said with a smile, "Don't praise me. I'm not an omnipotent god. I'm just better at these things. Apart from these things, I'm actually quite a failure. My wife divorced me. If I were an omnipotent God, would she still divorce me? She's an idiot. As soon as he said that, Sylvia said, I'm sorry, that's not what I meant. I just wanted to say that she did a stupid thing. I feel that if there is a man who is close to perfection in this world, it can only be you. I can't think of anyone who is better than you. Her eyes shone with excitement, and Charlotte knew what she was thinking at the moment. This was the first time he had heard of a man who was close to perfection in this world. This statement also triggered some thoughts in him. My body has been evolving. My brain, my body, my organs are all evolving in the direction of perfection. What is the end of this evolution? I haven't eaten the last AE capsule. If I don't eat it, will my evolution be perfect? If I eat it, will I be able to enter the perfect state at a faster speed? To eat the last AE capsule or not was only a choice. This choice might seem simple, but it was the most difficult choice for Charlotte to make in this world. If he didn't eat it, he was satisfied with the current situation. But if he didn't eat it, he couldn't resist the temptation of what would happen after he ate it. Mr. Xia, I want to... Sylvia's voice interrupted Charlotte's thoughts. What do you want to do? Charlotte asked. I'd like to take a look at the hellhound cannon you designed. Is that okay? Sylvia asked hesitantly. Xiaolei said, Of course you can see it. Not only can you see it, I can also give you one for you to dismantle it. I can also grant you the permission to take photos of it and send those photos back to Rainmetal. This. Sylvia looked at Charlotte in surprise. She couldn't believe that Charlotte would actually fulfill her wish. In order to achieve this wish, she was even ready to sacrifice herself. But now, it seemed that she didn't even need to take off her clothes to achieve her goal. Charlotte suddenly moved closer to Sylvia's ear and whispered, I'll help you, so you have to help me too. I'm in a bit of trouble, and you can help me solve it. The hot air blew into her ear, and Sylvia's dimples quietly turned red. What do you want me to do? I'm not that kind of casual woman. She clearly misunderstood because Charlotte's words were ambiguous, and also because his posture was too ambiguous, and it was obvious that he was flirting with her. Charlotte didn't let her misunderstand and interrupted her. What I want you to do is actually very simple. You just need to. The blush on Sylvia's face disappeared, and she felt extremely awkward. Is this okay? Charlotte then looked at Sylvia and asked. Sylvia shrugged. It's a bit embarrassing, but no problem. I'll help you. Charlotte smiled. Then I'll thank you in advance. Ring, ring. Ring, ring, ring. His phone rang. Charlotte took out his phone and looked at it before walking to the side to pick up the call. I've done it on my side. Fanfan's voice was heard. I used my grandfather's relationship with the higher-ups to sell his face. Charlotte said indifferently, Well done. The higher-ups' intention is very clear. As long as I can solve the problem in Korea and successfully obtain Germany's submarine technology, Wu Kuei will retire early, and I will be the next director of the ZN Bureau. It was Fanfan's voice. Charlotte could no longer maintain his pretense of calmness. He laughed. Haha, that's great. I also have good news for you. I'm also already on my side. Wait for my good news. I also have good news for you. I'm about to develop the right antidote. Just wait to be a father. Fanfan's laughter came from the phone. Xiaolei suddenly felt that his current relationship with Fanfan was the most complicated relationship between a man and a woman in the world. Chapter 664. In the dead of night. Charlotte sat quietly on the sofa in the room, his eyes locked on the floor under his feet. The floor, and even the concrete floor, didn't exist in his left eye, and Ling Hao was in the room under his feet. Ling Hao was packing his luggage. His luggage was simple, a suitcase, a laptop, a change of suit, and a few pairs of underwear and socks. After putting everything in place, Ling Hao sat on the sofa and made a phone call. Boss, I've settled down in the Thunder Horse military factory. Ling Hao's voice was very low, but it still couldn't escape Charlotte's lips reading. This phone call was made to Wu Kuei. Although Charlotte couldn't hear Wu Kuei's voice, he could tell from Ling Hao's expression and tone. Ling Hao chose to call Wu Kuei at this time. And it wasn't hard to see that Ling Hao's relationship with Wu Kuei was better than that of Fan Fan and Wu Kuei. Yes, yes, boss. Please rest assured. I will take care of things. Ling Hao said. Charlotte seems to still be dissatisfied with me, but he doesn't dare to be presumptuous to me. But he gave Song Buoqing a hard time. Of course I won't care about such a small matter. Let it be happy for now. Okay, I will contact you immediately if anything happens. Goodbye. After the call ended, Ling Hao didn't put down the phone, but continued to make calls. He made 2 calls in China, for calls abroad, and all of them were to South Korea. The 4 calls to South Korea were related to the current situation, and the people who answered the phone were not simple. From Ling Hao's address, there were members of parliament and also important members of the South Korean opposition party. Charlotte's heart moved. It seems that Ling Hao hasn't given up on South Korea. He is really a diligent person. If I don't help Fan Fan, he will definitely win the power struggle in the ZN Bureau, but Charlotte's mouth showed a trace of a sneer. The relationship between him, Ling Hao, and Fan Fan could be described by an idiom. When the crane and the clam fight, the fisherman benefits. Ling Hao was the crane, Fan Fan was the mussel, and he was the fisherman. The fisherman in the idiom was a pure fisherman, but this fisherman had an affair with a mussel. He was a fisherman who had both money and sex. After making the last call, Ling Hao entered the bathroom. Charlotte was not interested in peeping at him anymore. Charlotte also took out his phone and dialed a number that he hadn't called for a long time. Who? After the call was connected, and Jinjin's voice came from the other side of the phone. It was filled with suspicion and vigilance. My old friend, have you forgotten about me? Charlotte said with a smile. The other end of the phone was silent for a moment before Jinjin's voice came again. Mr. Xia, why are you calling me so late at night? Can we reminisce about the past? Don't joke around. We're not friends. How can you say that? I'm here with enthusiasm. You're here with enthusiasm? Oomph. And Jinjin snorted coldly. When I hear your voice, I think of Xiaoxian. My son, you've probably forgotten about him, right? Do you think I've forgotten about his death? Mr. N, of course I haven't forgotten, and it's impossible for me to forget. But what I remember is that he brought so many killers to kill me. From your perspective, you've lost your son. But from my point of view, how could I just sit there and wait for him and those assassins to kill me? Everything has its consequences. This is karma. Accept the reality. I don't want to talk nonsense with you. If you have something to say, just say it. All right, then I'll be straightforward. I think you've probably forgotten about the things in my hands, right? What are you trying to do? And Jinjin's voice was filled with anger. Don't misunderstand. I know that your situation in the election isn't optimistic. I'm not here to kick you when you're down. On the contrary, I'm here to help you. You're keeping those things to threaten me to achieve your goal. Would I believe that you're here to help me? Of course I have my own goal. I can't help you for free, can I? Tell me, what's your goal? To facilitate the free trade agreement, as well as a few targeted policies, and to make some changes to them. This is my request. It's very simple. Who do you think I am? The current president of South Korea? Even if I am, your request is too much. Do you think I'll agree? Do you think you can refuse? Charlotte's tone was indifferent, but there was a hint of threat in his words. If you don't agree, then I'll destroy you. You should be very clear that even if I agree, it's useless. Your request is beyond the scope of my ability. There's no use even if you threaten me. What if I can help you win the election? Charlotte said. Are you joking? Would I joke with you about such a thing? Tell me, what kind of help do you need? And Jinjin was silent for a moment. I know you have a master thief in your hands. I want to borrow him. Also, my funds are being monitored and can't be used for the election. I need to clean some money. I can lend you the person, but you have to guarantee his safety. It's just stealing some things. No problem. I can guarantee his safety. How much do you want? 100 million USD. And Jinjin said, the money and the person are not a problem. I can give them to you. Charlotte said coldly, but you have to remember, if you don't do what you promised me, you know what the consequences will be. I can't guarantee 100%, but I'll do my best to satisfy you. Then it's settled. I'll personally bring the money and the person to South Korea. You have to keep my whereabouts a secret. No problem, right? Okay, no problem. I wish us a successful cooperation. And Jean Jian hung up. Xia Lei put down the phone, and a person's face appeared in his mind. This person was Gu Qian. Gu Qian was also in South Korea. The CIA and the FA organization were also brewing a plan against him. Rather than waiting for Gu Qian, the CIA, and the FA organization to attack him, it was better to attack South Korea while they were still gathering and catch them off guard. Pu Shujin was in Jean Jian's main competitor. One of them would become the next president of South Korea. The outside world favored Pu Shujin, and Pu Shujin was indeed ahead of Jean Jian in public opinion. Furthermore, she was supported by the U.S. In this kind of situation, Jean Jian was equivalent to an abandoned character, isolated and without help. The person he was extending a helping hand to Jean Jian was equivalent to sending charcoal in snowy weather. So Jean Jian absolutely wouldn't betray him in this kind of situation. As long as he had Jean Jian as an ally, it would be much easier to carry out operations in South Korea. Kill Gu Qian. This thought was beating in Charlotte's heart. It was very intense. Knock, knock, knock. Someone knocked on the door. Charlotte collected his thoughts and looked over. He immediately saw Sylvia standing outside the door. Sylvia was wearing a set of white pajamas. Under the illumination of the lights in the corridor, it had a unique sense of beauty. Although it was already late at night, the two bunnies on her body didn't want to sleep. They were still staring at the outside world with their big red eyes through a thin layer of gauze. What was she trying to do by knocking on the door dressed like this so late at night? Knock, knock, knock. Sylvia knocked on the door again. Charlotte wanted to pretend to be asleep, but Sylvia was so persistent that he could only bite the bullet and open the door. Miss Sylvia, what's the matter? Charlotte couldn't stop his eyes from looking at her chest. In fact, the problem wasn't her chest, but her clothes. She was only wearing a set of pajamas without a bra or panties. When the lights in the room shone on her body, it was as if she wasn't wearing any clothes. Her smooth and tender abdomen, as well as Charlotte's abdomen, was already starting to heat up. He didn't know why, or maybe it was because of his evolution. He had become especially sensitive. He would have a strong reaction when he was slightly stimulated, and his ability in that area was getting stronger. If women were his weakness, then this weakness had been magnified several times. Mr. Xia, can I use your bathroom? Sylvia looked at Charlotte with a shy blush on her face. Is there a problem with your bathroom? Charlotte was very curious. Sylvia nodded her head seriously. There's no hot water. I'll go take a look. Charlotte said, No need, no need. Not only is there no hot water, there are also cockroaches. I don't want to take a bath there. Can I borrow your bathroom? Can I? Sylvia raised a finger. Just 10 minutes. Charlotte was speechless. In the end, he opened the door for Sylvia. Putting aside the fact that there was no hot water in Sylvia's bathroom, and putting aside the fact that there were cockroaches in the villa, as the owner of this place, he couldn't very well reject such a request. Moreover, he still had a favor to ask of Sylvia. Therefore, even though he knew that her purpose wasn't to take a bath, he pretended to be confused. Sylvia entered Charlotte's room and went into the bathroom. Soon, the sound of running water could be heard from the bathroom. Charlotte sat on the sofa and looked at the tightly shut glass door. The door didn't exist in his eyes, and Sylvia was indeed taking a bath. She washed up, washed down, washed up, washed up, washed up, washed up, and washed up. There were a lot of bubbles. Is she really here to take a bath? This thought popped up in Charlotte's mind. For some reason, he felt a little disappointed. A few minutes later, Sylvia's voice suddenly came from the bathroom. Mr. Xia, I forgot to bring my towel. Can I borrow yours for a while? Indeed, she wasn't really here to take a bath. No problem. Charlotte's lips curled into a mischievous smile. He found his towel and brought it to the bathroom door. He reached out and knocked on the door. Sylvia suddenly opened the bathroom door. She didn't just open it a little, but pushed it open completely. The moment the door opened, her naked body was exposed to Xia Lei's line of sight. She was as beautiful as a mountain and as beautiful as a river. Charlotte pretended to be surprised. Miss Sylvia, you stop pretending. Your crotch has already betrayed you. Sylvia's gaze shifted to the space between Charlotte's legs. She took a look and suddenly moved closer. Her wet body immediately stuck into Charlotte's embrace. Charlotte held the towel, but he didn't know what else it could be used for. I wanted to sleep with you in Germany. Sylvia's voice trembled in excitement. Anina told me that if I seduce you, there's an 80% chance that you won't reject me, right? Charlotte, Anina, this prodigal woman. Are you going to listen to me all the time? Sylvia stared straight at Charlotte. Her azure blue eyes were filled with burning passion and desire. Charlotte's bottom line collapsed. He carried Sylvia, strode to the bed, and threw Sylvia on the bed. Before he could unbuckle his belt, Sylvia pulled him down, and their lips were tightly pressed together. Dry wood met fire, and the fire went out of control. Knock, knock, knock. Suddenly, there was a knock on the door. Then it was Yelena's voice. Chairman Xia, there's something urgent for you to handle. The two of them were instantly petrified. Knock, knock, knock. Yelena knocked on the door 3 more times. The two of them, who were in a state of half-union, then came back to their senses. Sylvia released her legs that were clamping onto Charlotte's waist in a fluster, and Charlotte pulled up his zipper in a fluster. Coming, coming. Chapter 665. After Sylvia put on her pajamas, Charlotte opened the door for Yelena. Yelena only glanced at Sylvia once before looking away. Sylvia, on the other hand, seemed very nervous and didn't even dare to look at Yelena. Yelena had warned her, and she still remembered the sharp knife on Yelena's inner thigh. However, if she had to choose again, she would still knock on Charlotte's door. What is it? Charlotte asked. Yelena said, Come out and talk. Charlotte walked out of the room and closed the door. Yelena moved closer to Xiaolei's ear and said in a low voice, Your father wants you to go. Charlotte nodded. Let's go. Yelena looked at the door. Is it okay for her to stay in your room? Charlotte lowered his voice. It's just a room. There's no secret. Yelena didn't say anything else and walked to the stairs. Charlotte hesitated for a moment before opening the door and saying to Sylvia, I have something urgent to do. Excuse me. When are you coming back? Sylvia obviously didn't want her and Charlotte to fall apart. I don't know. Then, I'll go back to my room, Sylvia said disappointedly. Charlotte smiled at her. Remember what you promised me. You must do it well. Sylvia nodded, and her lips curled into a meaningful smile. Walking out of the villa, Charlotte looked back at Ling Hao's room. At that moment, he saw Ling Hao's curtains move slightly. A cold smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. Ling Hao was peeking. Charlotte's left eye twitched, and the glass and curtains on the window disappeared from his left eye. He saw Ling Xiao taking out his phone to make a call. His eyes locked on Ling Hao's lips as he interpreted Ling Hao's words. Xiaolei is going to go out with his secretary. Follow him and see where he is going to meet who. With that, Ling Hao hung up the phone. Charlotte looked away. He didn't have to guess to know that Ling Hao was calling Song Baiqing. Sure enough, when Charlotte and Yelena got in the car, Song Baiqing walked out of the office sneakily and was about to get his car. Charlotte frowned. That guy is really troublesome. I can't let him know where my dad lives. He hadn't gotten the pardon order yet, and he didn't want any accidents. Yelena said lightly, You just need to drive. I've already taken care of everything else. You've taken care of everything? Before I came and knocked on your door, I punctured all 4 tires of Song Baiqing's car, said Yelena. Charlotte, the Chevrolet Suburban drove out of the gate of the Thunder Horse Army factory and soon disappeared into the night. Song Baiqing walked quickly to his Hongqi sedan. He was about to open the door and drive after Charlotte when his eyes suddenly moved to the rear tire. His expression suddenly froze. 2 seconds later, Song Baiqing kicked the front tire, which was also out of gas, and roared like a madman. Who the F***CK did this? Who, more than 10 minutes later, the Chevrolet Suburban stopped by the side of the road in the field. Charlotte and Yelena got out of the car and walked through the mountain village. Then, they went up the hill and came to the door of the farmhouse. There were no lights in the yard, and it was dark. But Charlotte had already seen 7 people standing in the yard. Of these 7 people, 1 was his father, Xia Changhe, and the other was the tiger, Ertemu of the Zodiac team. The other 5 were black, 2 were white, and 1 was Asian. Among the 5 unfamiliar faces, the only woman was a black woman. She was in her early 20s, tall and long-legged, with the typical thick lips and plump buttocks of black people. When he first saw her, Charlotte thought that it was Rihanna, who he had met once before. Obviously, she was not. She only looked like Rihanna. Seeing this situation, a thought suddenly came to Charlotte's mind. Are these people from the Zodiac team? If these people were all from the Zodiac team, plus the chicken, Yelena, the number of people in the Zodiac team would reach 7. Only 5 more people were needed to gather. Go in. Yelena's voice was heard. Charlotte suppressed the excitement in his heart, reached out and pushed the door open, then walked in. In the yard, everyone's eyes were focused on Charlotte. Some of their eyes were filled with surprise, some with respect, and some with expectation. It was not difficult to see from their eyes that they obviously knew who Charlotte was, and they were very clear about what this young man in front of them meant to them. Although you have all seen his information, I still want to introduce him. Xia Changhe said, "This is my son, Charlotte." Charlotte nodded in greeting. "Hello, everyone." Xia Changhe then said to Charlotte, "They are all from the Zodiac team, and they all know Chinese." Then he said, "Introduce yourselves." A white young man walked in front of Charlotte, hugged Charlotte, and said in Chinese, "Long Alessio, I am from Italy." Charlotte patted Alessio's back. Another white young man also came forward and hugged Charlotte. "Nio, Marcus, I am from the United States." Charlotte patted Marcus's back. The black young man came over and hugged Charlotte. "Yang Bagu, I am from the Congo." Charlotte patted Bagu's back. The black young woman also walked in front of Charlotte and hugged Charlotte. "Bunny, Amanda, I am from England." Charlotte also patted Amanda's back. The last Asian young man also came over and hugged Charlotte. "Ma, Pu Taeyong, I am from Korea." Charlotte also patted Pu Taeyong's back. Ertemu smiled. "There is no need to introduce me and Yelena." Charlotte also smiled. "It is my honor to meet you. They are your people from now on." Xia Changhe has said, "They can do anything for you. You don't have to be polite with them. You just need to give them orders." Amanda said, "Lei, we are all your father's children. We are a family." Except for Ertemu, these people in front of him were orphans adopted or rescued by his father, Xia Changhe. It could be said that without Xia Changhe, there would be no them. They regarded Xia Changhe as their father, so Charlotte was naturally their brother. With this kind of relationship, there was no need to be polite. However, Charlotte had his own ideas. That was his father, Xia Changhe, did give these people a new lease of life, but it was not him after all. He had no friendship with these people. The reason why these people were willing to listen to his orders was because of his father, Xia Changhe. In a short period of time, these people may be very obedient and willing to do anything for him, but in a long time, there was no guarantee. Therefore, he had to use his own way to manage these people. He also had to establish his own majesty and make these people obey his orders as they obey his father's orders. With a plan in mind, Charlotte said with a smile, "Yes, we are a family. I have now taken over the position of the head of the family from my father's hands. I will simply say a few words. From today onwards, I will give you 500,000 yuan a month as your family allowance. In addition, I will give you the best equipment in the world. You will get an XL 2500 sniper rifle and a Gale assault rifle. Our Zodiac squad's vehicles and electronic equipment will also be the best in the world." The yard was silent. The 7 members of the Zodiac squad looked at Charlotte with a strange look in their eyes. Charlotte was stunned for a moment and then spread out his hands. "Did I say something wrong?" "Wow." The black girl, Amanda, suddenly came up to Xia Lei and gave him a hug. Her face was full of joy and gratitude. "You helped me solve my mortgage problem. You're the best parent. You are really my angel," Horatio said with a smile. Pu Taeyong laughed and said, "So, in the future, I can eat any barbecue I want." No one was unhappy. The previous leader of the Zodiac squad, Xia Changhe, didn't have the financial and material resources that Charlotte had. These people didn't even get paid for their work. Now that Charlotte had become the new leader, his forthrightness easily conquered their hearts. No one would say no to money. Even assassins had to buy rice and bread, right? Xia Chang'e sighed. Brat, don't spoil them too much. Charlotte smiled. I won't. Don't worry, Dad. Xia Chang'e didn't say anything else. No one knew a son better than a father. He knew what Charlotte was thinking, and he thought it was right. After all, Charlotte wasn't him. If Charlotte drove a luxury car and lived a good life, while these people who followed him were still struggling at the bottom of society, as time went by, these people would inevitably have complaints. If that was the case, who would be willing to work for Charlotte? Charlotte chatted with the members of the Zodiac Squad for a while. After familiarizing himself with them, he cut to the chase. Dad, I want to go to Korea. You want to kill Gu Kyun? Xia Chang'e said. Charlotte nodded. He must die. I knew you would do this, so I called them here in advance. Xia Chang'e sighed. I won't stop you, but you must be careful. What awaits you is a fierce battle. I will be careful. What about the other 5? Charlotte asked. They can't come for the time being, but you will see them. Xia Chang'e said. Charlotte thought of the pig again, but he didn't ask. Lei, when do we leave? Pu Taiyong said. Korea is my territory. If you have any plans, I can go back and arrange them in advance. Charlotte said. We leave tomorrow night. We and our equipment have to be smuggled over. Do you have any channels? It's nothing, no problem. Pu Taiyong answered without hesitation. Charlotte said to Erdemo, I will go back and prepare all the equipment. You drive my car and bring it out. Erdemo nodded. No problem. Dad, the pardon order will come tomorrow. Tomorrow you can walk on the street openly. Charlotte said, You go see little Shui. She has almost forgotten what you look like. Xia Chang'e nodded. His eyes were filled with tears. I can finally go home. Chapter 666. At noon the next day, Wu Kuei sent someone to deliver the pardon. It was equivalent to a turning point in Xia Chang'e's life, allowing him to walk out of the world of darkness and into the world of light. An old van stopped in front of the office. The driver was a driver from Whitestag. Xia Chang'e was sitting on the tattered sofa at the back. Beside him were 2 dirty woven bags filled with clothes and blankets. Such an arrangement was only to create the illusion that he had returned from a wandering life. Not many people knew of Xia Chang'e's true identity, but many knew that Charlotte's father had been missing for years. Some acts still had to be put on, even if they looked fake. Before the van's door opened, Xia Shui rushed in, but she stopped after running for a short distance. She didn't dare to go in. She was afraid that it was a dream and that she would wake up if she got too close. Charlotte walked to her side. Go. The person he wants to see the most is you. Only then did Xia Shui walk back to the van. At that moment, the van's door opened and Xia Chang'e came out with 2 woven bags. He was burly and his face was full of vicissitudes. There were also some white hairs on his temples. He really did look like a migrant worker who had been rescued from a mine for a few years. How can he be Chairman Xia's father? Yeah, he looks like a migrant worker who just came back from work. Yeah, his hands are full of calluses. How can a pampered person have such rough hands? Keep it down. Don't let Chairman Xia hear you. He'll be unhappy. Yeah, Chairman Xia's father has been missing for many years. We've only just found him. Don't make Chairman Xia angry. In front of the office, a group of high-ranking members of Rema Group who had followed Charlotte to welcome Xia Chang'e were whispering among themselves. Charlotte couldn't help but want to laugh when he heard that. He couldn't help but wonder if these people would still talk like that if they knew what his father did for a living and how he came back. If their father, Xia Chang'e, looked at them, they would probably be afraid too, right? Dad. Xia Shui could no longer control her emotions. She cried and threw herself into Xia Chang'e's arms. Why are you crying? Don't cry, silly girl. Xia Chang'e gently patted Xia Shui's back. He asked Xia Shui not to cry, but his eyes were full of tears. He was finally home. He had waited for this day for too many years. In the office building, Ling Hao quietly looked at Xia Chang'e and Xia Shui downstairs. His eyes were cold. Song Baiqing, who was standing next to Ling Hao, sneered, the head of the FA organization's agents, who committed murder, arson, and treason. It's a joke that such a man can enjoy his old age. Ling Hao said faintly, "It's all thanks to him that he raised such a promising son. That pardon order is enough to clear his name. Are we going to let it go?" Song Baiqing said, "He has a secret, and I suspect that there's a secret between him and Charlotte." Zongjing's boss also said that Xia Changhe is a breakthrough. Are we just going to give up? Ling Hao sneered, "Give up? There is no such word in my dictionary. Do you have any plans? Don't worry. Let's settle the matter with the Germans first. Xia Changhe just got the pardon order, and we can't take any action against him immediately. You better be smart too. Don't cause any trouble during this period of time." Song Baiqing nodded. "I understand." Under the office building, Charlotte nudged Ryu Yungnam with his arm. "Why are you still standing there? Go and introduce him." Ryu Yungnam looked nervous. Charlotte smiled. "What are you afraid of? He is not a tiger. He won't eat you." Ryu Yungnam smiled awkwardly. He still didn't go over. His legs felt like they were tied with several sandbags. His heart was actually very strange because Xia Changhe looked like a rustic old farmer, but his body had a kind of breathtaking aura. His eyes were like the eyes of an eagle, which made people inexplicably afraid. He didn't know why, but he was a little afraid of this father-in-law whom he met for the first time. "Masahiro, come here." At this time, Xia Shui said, "Oh." Lu Zhengnan responded as if it was a conditioned reflex, and then he walked over. Charlotte smiled bitterly. He found that his prestige as the chairman was less than 1/3 of his sister's. He asked Ryu Yungnam to go over, but Ryu Yungnam was hesitant. Xia Shui just said one sentence, and Ryu Yungnam went over without hesitation. Ryu Yungnam came in front of Xia Changhe with a smile on his face. "Hi, uncle." "You are?" Xia Changhe looked at Ryu Yungnam. Xia Shui said with a smile, "Dad, he's my boyfriend. His name is Ryu Yungnam. He is my brother's right-hand man." Good. Hee. Xia Changhe smiled happily. In fact, he lived nearby. How could he not know who Xia Shui's boyfriend was? He just wanted to be low-key and normal so that he wouldn't scare her. "Why are you still standing there? Hurry up and help my dad carry the package." Xia Shui touched Ryu Yungnam. "Uncle, let me help you carry it." Ryu Yungnam followed and took action. He didn't care whether Xia Changhe agreed or not. He directly grabbed the 2 dirty woven bags from Xia Changhe's hand. Xia Changhe came over and stretched out his big hand to hold Charlotte's shoulder. "Dad, you are back. And you are back." The father and son didn't have any extra words, and they didn't need to. Charlotte walked to the villa with Xia Changhe. Xia Shui and Ryu Yungnam follow behind. "Yelena. He actually wants to arrange Xia Changhe to live in the villa." Song Baiqing's eyes were cold. He wanted to live in the villa, but Charlotte said that there were no rooms. He had forgotten about it, but when he saw Charlotte walking to the villa with Xia Changhe, his face was burning again. "This is his place," Ling Hao said. "But that is the location of Project X Mystic Gold. Who is Xia Changhe? How can he get close to Project X Mystic Gold?" Xiaolei was really too unscrupulous. It's true that he is capable, but he can't do whatever he wants, right? If God wants someone to die, he will first make that person crazy. Some things are not settled now, but it doesn't mean that they won't be settled in the future. "Let's wait and see," Ling Hao said. At this moment, Sylvia walked over from the staircase. She was holding a phone in her hand and looked around. Isn't she the chief mechanic of Germany's rain metal? What's she doing here? Ling Hao's gaze shifted to Sylvia. "I'll go and ask." Song Baiqing went up. "Hello, lowly student." Sylvia greeted Song Baiqing with her broken Chinese. "Miss Sylvia, what's the matter?" Song Baiqing asked. Sylvia shook her head. "I don't understand." Then, she typed in German on her phone's translation software and went over to Song Baiqing's side to show him the translation. The translation on the software was, "Mr. Xia is an unreasonable person. He promised to have a technical exchange with me, but he still hasn't fulfilled his promise. I want to talk to the person in charge. Can you tell me who it is?" After Song Baiqing saw the translation, he said to Ling Hao, "This German woman said that Charlotte is unreasonable. He promised to have a technical exchange with her, but he didn't fulfill his promise. She wants to talk to you. Ling Hao frowned. The German official delegation hasn't arrived yet. Why would a mechanic like her want to talk to me? You just have to deal with her. With that, he turned and left. Sylvia typed in German on her phone again and went closer to Song Baiching. She was very close to Song Baiching, shoulder to shoulder. Her face was almost touching Song Baiching's face. She was also wearing a low-cut V-neck cotton t-shirt. A large portion of her snow-white skin and bottomless cleavage were exposed in front of Song Baiching without any cover. If it was an ordinary woman, Song Baiching wouldn't be moved. However, Sylvia was a stunning foreign chick. She had blonde hair, blue eyes, a sexy figure, and an exquisite baby face. She was very alluring. As she got closer, her body smelled so good. Coupled with her alluring body, Song Baiching didn't know where to look. However, Song Baiching still saw the translation on her phone. "Sir, can you bring me to the person in charge? I want to talk to him." Song Baiching took Sylvia's phone and typed in Mandarin. "I am. What do you want to talk about?" After Sylvia saw the translation, a sweet smile appeared on her face. She typed in German. "I didn't expect you to be the person in charge of this technical exchange. Sir, you're so young and handsome. You're amazing." Song Baiching laughed. Sylvia typed in German again. "I want to buy you a cup of coffee. Is that okay?" Song Baiching typed in Mandarin. "There's no coffee shop here." Sylvia typed in German. "Charlotte gave me an office. There's coffee in my office. We can talk while drinking." Song Baiching was too lazy to type. He smiled and said, "Okay, I'll go to your office." Sylvia smiled and suddenly gave Song Baiching a hug. The blonde beauty was in his arms. Her body smelled so good. Her chest was soft and bouncy. Song Baiching's heart suddenly became young. However, he didn't know that in the security room of the Thunder Horse Army factory, Erdamu was staring at the surveillance screen with a sneer on his face. Half an hour later, after settling his father, Xia Changhe, in the villa, Charlotte found him. "Brother Ling, there's a problem with the branch in Sichuan. I have to go there." Charlotte went straight to the point. "The official delegation from Germany is coming. Why are you going to Sichuan at this critical moment?" Ling Hao said, "Let's put the matter of the Sichuan branch aside for the time being. The matter here is the most important." Charlotte said, "I've asked Ambassador Philip. It will take 2 days for the official delegation from Germany to arrive here. It'll only take me 2 days to go to Sichuan. I'll be back by the time the official delegation from Germany arrives." But Ling Hao wanted to say something, but stopped on second thought. He obviously didn't want to complicate such an important matter. Charlotte patted Ling Hao's shoulder and said with a smile, "Don't worry, Brother Ling. It's a deal. I'm in a hurry. I have to go now." Before Ling Hao could say anything else, Charlotte had already turned around and left. Going to the Sichuan branch was just a cover for an operation in South Korea. Gu Qian must die. Chapter 667. In the afternoon, a Chevrolet Suburban off-road van arrived at Kyoto International Airport. In the car, Charlotte patted Ryu Youngnam's shoulder. "For the next 2 days, try not to go out. Just stay in the factory. I have already talked to Zhou Xiaohong. She will help you." Ryu Youngnam looked at the mirror on the passenger seat. His expression was still very surprised. The man in the mirror wasn't his face, but Charlotte's face. He had observed it many times, but he still couldn't find any flaws. Looking at himself in the mirror, he even had a strange feeling that his soul had mistakenly entered Charlotte's body. The Charlotte in the driver's seat was naturally another face, a strange face. He looked to be in his early 30s with dark skin. From his body, he didn't look like the chairman of Rema Group at all. Instead, he looked like a migrant worker moving bricks on a construction site. Even if he walked on the street like this, no one would look at him, let alone attract anyone's attention. "Go in, your flight is about to take off." "Brother, then I'm leaving. Although I don't know what you're going to do, but be careful." Ryu Youngnam left these words, opened the door, and walked out. "Remember what I said. I'm leaving. Take care." Charlotte also said goodbye and then drove away. He didn't tell Ryu Youngnam that he was going to Korea, nor did he tell Ryu Young-nam what he was going to do in Korea. This had nothing to do with trust or distrust, but it was just a protective measure. After all, Ryu Young-nam was just an ordinary person. There was no benefit in letting him know the truth. Instead, it would put him in some unnecessary trouble or even danger. In fact, even Xia Shui didn't know that her father was the head of the FA organization's secret service. The truth she knew was that her father was trapped in Cuba for several years and was only recently rescued by the Cuban police and returned to China. Charlotte drove the car into the airport parking lot, then turned off the engine and got out of the car. He got into a Buick business car that had been waiting for a long time. There were two people in the car. The driver was Park Tae-yong. "Is everything ready?" Charlotte went straight to the point. Pu Tae-yong said, "Everything is ready. The weapons have been transported to the dock. The ship and the people are in position, just waiting for us to go over." "Let's go," said Charlotte. The Buick MPV drove out of the airport parking lot and headed toward Jilin. Pu Tae-yong was very focused on driving. Charlotte had nothing to do. He sat in the car and thought about every member of the Zodiac fighting team. His father, Xia Changhe, had given him the battle team, which made him even more powerful. However, he knew too little about the members of the battle team. He wanted to master the strengths of every member of the Zodiac battle team. Only then would he be able to make good use of this team. "Pu Tae-yong, what are you best at?" Charlotte broke the silence. Pu Tae-yong paused for a moment. Drive? I'm good at driving." "You mean driving?" Charlotte was slightly disappointed. "Driving? Everyone could drive now. What kind of specialty was that?" "Driving is one of them. But in addition to driving, I can also fly airplanes and fighter jets. I can also drive tanks." Pu Tae-yong laughed. "Boss, I'm in charge of the transportation part of our battle team's operations. Last time, my dad asked me and Elena to blow up a training base of the FA organization in Siberia. I modified an agricultural plane that sprayed pesticides and flew over with a bomb to blow up the place." Charlotte was speechless. "Boss, can I make an application?" "Application for what?" "Our transportation is too backward. If you can give me a sum of money, I can modify our transportation. This will also be a guarantee for our operations." "Oh, I promise you, I will use every penny you give me to upgrade our transportation." Pu Tae-yong looked very serious. He was afraid that Charlotte would misunderstand that he wanted to make some money. Charlotte smiled. "No problem. How much?" "2 million will be fine. I'll give it to you after this mission is over." Charlotte agreed readily. "Thank you, boss. You're so straightforward. My dad is also straightforward, but he doesn't have money." Charlotte smiled and changed the topic. "By the way, tell me about the others. I don't know you very well, but I have to know." "That's not a problem. I can tell you." Pu Tae-yong said, "Let me tell you about Amanda first." In Xia Lei's mind, the black chick from England appeared. She looked very much like Rihanna, with a hot body. He was very curious about what Amanda was good at. "She is English and lives in London. When my dad found her, her single mother was lying in an alley with a bullet in her carotid artery. She was only 8 years old at that time, pitifully young. But now she's no longer that weak and pitiful little girl. She's a very good hacker who can easily hack into the internal system of the CIA. In addition, she is also our tactical planner. Many of our operations are planned by her." Xia Lei understood in his heart. A cunning rabbit has 3 burrows. This was a very famous Chinese idiom. Rabbits looked docile and good-looking, but they were very cautious and cunning. Amanda was the rabbit in the Zodiac team. Her specialty and characteristics were exactly the same as a cunning rabbit. Pu Tae-yong was a horse. A horse's specialty was running, transportation, and speed. His specialty and characteristics were also the same as a horse's. "What about Alessio?" Charlotte remembered the handsome Italian. He was the dragon in the Zodiac team. Pu Tae-yong said, "Alessio is from Sicily, Italy, the paradise of gangsters. His parents were killed in the gang's vendetta. He grew up in street violence and gunfights. When he was 8 years old, he could already shoot and kill. He is the bravest in our team. He is not afraid of death. Every time we fight, he rushes to the front and kills the most enemies. The bravest one is not afraid of death. He always rushes to the front and kills the most enemies. He is like a fierce dragon crossing the river. This was probably the reason why his father, Xia Changhe, used the word dragon to describe Alessio. Bagu is from Kananga, Congo. He is also an orphan. His parents died in the war when he was very young. He is an expert in jungles and mountains. He is familiar with everything in the primeval forest. He can also find the right route and water source in any complex mountainous terrain. He is indispensable in mountain battles and jungle operations. Dad said he's a goat in human form. Pu Taiyong introduced Bagu. Goats can come and go freely on steep cliffs. His father used the word goat to describe Bagu. What about Marcus? Charlotte remembered the American. He was the bull in the Zodiac team. Hee, are you talking about that big guy? Is he a big guy? Charlotte recalled Marcus's appearance. He didn't think that Marcus was that big. He just looked a bit stronger than the others. Pu Taiyong said with a smile. That's because he is wearing clothes. Once he takes off his clothes, he is a diamond ape. He is full of muscles. He is the fighting expert in our team. He is best at fighting. He has been running amok in the underground boxing ring in the United States for many years. If it wasn't for his father's prohibition, he would have turned to professional boxing. Dad always calls him Bull. He is also the most reckless one among us. He always causes trouble. Charlotte couldn't help but laugh. Good at fighting and strong as a bull. This was probably the reason why his father, Xia Changhe, used the word bull to describe Marcus. What about Erdemo? Charlotte asked. Pu Taiyong said, he is Mongolian. He is the only one among us who is not an orphan. His family had been hunters for generations, and he was very good at hunting. When I say hunting, I mean hunting people, not small animals. The people he assassinates will not leave any traces at the scene. If Dad wants someone to disappear without a trace, he will usually let him do it. He has never failed. Tigers are the king of beasts. Their ability to hunt can be seen. It was also appropriate for his father, Xia Changhe, to use the word tiger to describe Erdemo. But Charlotte was a little surprised. Erdemo looked ordinary and not special at all. He was the type that can't be found in a crowd. Charlotte didn't expect him to be an assassination expert. I don't need to introduce Yelena, do I? Pu Taiyong said with a smile. She has been by Dad's side for the past 2 years. You have seen her many times. She is best at cleaning up potential threats. Even the CIA's most elite spy can't escape her eyes. I don't know how she does it, but she is good at it. With her, we don't have to worry about being followed or being followed. Charlotte said, well, I know her. She likes to hide information in her chewing gum. By the way, what about the other 5? You haven't seen them yet. I will tell you when they come. That's fine. I don't even know what they look like. It's useless even if you tell me. Charlotte suddenly thought of something. Well, I know Evgenia is a pig, but she is dead. Dad said someone took over her position. Do you know who it is? Pu Taiyong shrugged. Boss, to be honest, I don't know either. Dad only told us that there is a new member, but he didn't say who it is. But I think we'll meet one day. At that time, I will know what a pig is. Charlotte thought that his father, Xia Changhe, was only hiding it from him. He didn't expect that his father didn't even tell the other members of the Zodiac squad. It seemed that this pig was really mysterious. Do. The satellite phone suddenly rang. After sending Ryu Youngnam away, Charlotte turned off his phone. All the members of the Zodiac squad also used the satellite phone that couldn't be tracked or eavesdropped. Charlotte answered the phone. A woman's voice came from the satellite phone. Boss, I applied to hack into the Korean Police Department surveillance system. Charlotte recognized that it was Amanda's voice, but he was also shocked by her. Why did you hack into the Korean Police Department surveillance system? I'm looking for Gu Kyun. I can use facial recognition software to find her. As long as she appears in Korea, I will know her whereabouts, Amanda's voice said. Charlotte smiled bitterly. Let's do it. What kind of people are they? You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.